And I guess we're live because I pressed refresh on the wrong button. And welcome back to another second part of We Got This Buttered, the first special episode where we're covering Kevin Smith and the voice actor Orko's Smodcast from a few days ago at this point. And we couldn't get into all of it yesterday because we hit the 3-hour mark, but we're going to go into it today. And before I even get into that, I have a special service announcement. And remember, why is this not showing up? Because I'm pressing the wrong button. This is how good it's going. This show has been sponsored by MasterGrift. Don't steal content without it. And with that, I will bring up our panel. We have the lovely Purple Valkyrie.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. We have the lovely Viking.
Hey, everyone.
It's not that lovely. And then we have Keith from Pop Culture Manfield.
Hey.
Hey. And before we actually get started and getting into the second part of the video, yeah, it is funny, but boy, nice to see the name of the chat. Hello, Pat S. I can't even talk today. Keith, yesterday you had a little anniversary that popped in your head that kind of skipped over. What was that quick that you want to tell the chat?
It was 8 years of doing this, 8 years of basically being someone that would go out there and talk about my fandom, as it was originally put to me by some of the people that was very influential to me to be involved in stuff like this. As I was saying before the show, it popped up on my Facebook memories. And I remember when I hit my 5th anniversary of doing this, I wrote out a little thing about how I was very thankful to be doing this, and also a kind of a shout out to the people that inspired me to do it. Chris Hardwick, the Collider crew led by John Campia, and the guys from G4, and even Neil deGrasse Tyson to an extent, and the late, great John Schnepp. And I remember that one of the things that impressed me with all of those people, along with Kevin Smith, was the fact that it just seemed to be about being in your fandom, not really taking the time to go after anyone, not looking down your nose at anyone, but celebrating all of that stuff. 7 years ago, if you count back, I mean, we're in the middle of all of the really, really cool stuff that has led us here.
Yeah.
To see this with Kevin Smith and what should have been a mea culpa, and his whole thing with Griffin Newman hosting what is really technically the latest episode of FAT-STEVENSEAGAL Beyond, renamed HeMan Beyond.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was Circle Jerk and Beyond, because that's pretty much the first hour was. It was like, have you heard what podcast I'm on? Have you heard what I've done? And you know who the bigger nerd is? Well, you know what? Eat your butthole. That's pretty much all I remember from it.
Well, the other thing that came out of that is just the kind of disdain they seem to have for everyone that worked on the original He-Man series, and which is sad. Really, because the people that worked on the original He-Man series, especially that team of writers that they have, I would pay a fortune to be able to meet all of those people for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All of the writers that Kevin had, and some of them I do respect, aren't even close to the writers that they had on the original He-Man series. And I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm saying if you're one of those people that truly enjoys this version of He-Man that Kevin Smith has put out, that's great. I got no problem or issue with you. Okay? Although you should do your due diligence and look at all the writers who contributed to the original He-Man series.
Well, Keith, you're saying exactly what it is. In fact, this is like the same discussion we've had for a while now, as someone is fighting with a bag of chips. Sorry, I had to do that. I hope they're ruffled. I really hope they're fucking ruffled. But the thing is, this is like the same pretense when we're talking about whether people like Discovery or if people like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor or The Last Jedi. It's all the same pretense. When people like this do these shows, or all of us gather together to like do a reaction or discuss our thoughts and points of views, that's our opinions. We own those opinions. They're not opinions to sway you to not like something, nor is it supposed to be a personal attack with criticism that you should be vilified or considered the finger wagging at you that you are a bad person for liking something that others don't. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, those people that you think are pointing the finger at you, or that actually are, you're not the one waking up with them every day and going to sleep. The only person you're waking up with every day and going to sleep with is yourself. So your point of view is yours, just like your free will is yours. And I think that's why doing stuff like this is such a grand thing, because we're getting different people, different types of generations in here and discussing, and we take things apart. But before you quickly, I want to add, Budboy Production says Kevin Smith has seriously hurt my feelings. I looked up to him, but he isn't the same since the heart attack. The real Kevin Smith died. Well, we actually debated that yesterday, that's secretly Jason Mewes wearing Kevin Smith's skin.
And Jason Mewes' skin is Ben Affleck.
Yeah, it's Ben Affleck. Yeah, we're getting the dominoes lined up. And Andrew 46 also says super shills what does whatever a super shill does. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I like to see my mod Terry as well in here, and I'm glad all you guys are joining us today. Keith, anything else to add before I try to white splain again?
No, I don't think it's white splaining so much as just nerd splaining, and there's nothing wrong with it.
How good does that taste right now? What are you eating?
It's actually my dinner.
So. Oh. Well, then with that, I would like to say congratulations, Keith, for being...
Yes, congratulations.
That's a big anniversary, because you're inspiring a lot more people. Kid. You are. You've inspired people like Esh and Explorer for picking up like the omnibuses with Green Lantern. Babylon 5, if we're looking at the Mondays and how successful that's going, you've made people that don't usually like sci-fi enjoy it a lot more.
I do realize that. I try to look at this as being someone... trying to be more of someone that people could look up to. People like, again, I look at what I had wrote and the people that I had listed. And at that time, these were people that were doing some really cool things. And I really do miss John Schnepp. I miss his attitude. I miss the way that he looked at fandom, because we really need someone like that, who's a true cheerleader of all that. Now, we got that with Robert Meyer Burnett. And I love Robert Meyer Burnett. I mean, he might as well just be me, but...
I'll love him till I get my Slave One statue. I'll still love him then. Like, I have his face on my body pillow and I caress it every night. Oh, shit, the mic's still on.
But it's just, I think we should just try to be... this is not of any world-altering importance, but I think we should try to be nicer to one another and try to be a little more understanding. And my thing with Kevin Smith is that this is a problem seriously of his own making. Whether you like He-Man, whether you like the Masters of the Universe Netflix series or not, the issue is mainly with Kevin and basically having lied and being very flippant about it,
And at the same time, I want to quickly address this. Zax with the $5 super. My mouth and dyslexia seem to be competing for the race for my brain right now, so I apologize. For the $5 Canadian super sticker of the... I don't know what is it smiling up or is it cheering up, the Shibu? I've never seen that one before, but thank you so much for that. And Zax...
I think he's bowing. Oh, that's cute.
I bow. Oh, well, thank you very much. And with that, Zax, honestly, I'll give you something a little bit more to cheer you up, and we'll get you some grind.
Gotta love that effort. That's the best thing they've ever produced.
It is. But go back to that, Keith. Thank you very much. But yeah, you're right, Keith. Anyone else want to add to that before we play this nightmare?
Go ahead, let's have done with it.
And R&B is legend. He's very down to earth. He's very he listens, and he's able to explain in a very articulate way. A lot of us are. Chris Gore's another one. I love him too.
Oh yeah, Chris Gore. I don't want to leave out Chris Gore. I like the way that even if they don't like something, they're able to articulate without putting down the people that actually like what they don't like. You know, that's what I
Mhm.
love about those guys. And I think we should all try to be like that a little bit more. You know, you can not like something without being hateful about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, or to be offensive to the people that are behind it or the people that like it.
Yeah.
Because that's also something that we're seeing right now. Like they say, "Oh, you like it? Oh, yeah. Well, you're an incel or a soy boy, whatever." And it's the same from the other direction. Like I didn't like it. Oh, because you're a man hater or a woman
Mhm.
hater
You're
or
an
something.
incel. You're a virgin.
Yeah.
You're a
It is-
simp. Your
I mean, a
balls are
lot of
too
this has just
small.
been getting worse and worse and worse. And for my own money, it's really gotten worse with a lot of this, you know, the Star Trek stuff and Star Wars stuff. But
Oh, let's
Yeah.
not go
You
down
know,
that road.
we could go on for hours with
I
what I've
we don't have
and
time.
others have
Well,
said
it
about
did
Star
yesterday.
Trek, but it all goes into what we're experiencing right now with He-Man, and it's unfortunate because it didn't have to go down like this.
No,
It
didn't.
really didn't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And with that, we are going to segue into where we stopped off at about 1:05, but I think I put it just a little bit behind just in case we got to watch him do product placement again. Because last night we were up to what, 8 or 9 flips where Kevin Smith picks up his seltzer, takes a sip, and then he rotates the can so it shows that it's movies seltzer. And
And
play.
it comes with this tinge of like, why did you waste your time doing this or putting this in the show? Real fans don't care about that, right? And inevitably, a lot of that stuff will circle back to the presence of female characters or people of color or certain subjects, or themes, or this or that.
There were certain hot buttons for
Right.
a lot of people.
Haircuts.
Tila, of course, is one.
People furious about haircuts.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh man, that's like ripped off."
Okay, right away, they're trying to defend haircuts, and they're saying people are furious about haircuts, but that's menial. You went to haircuts rather than addressing the things about people, the colored people or this or that. You went, why does haircuts bother you so bad?
The thing is that, you know, they are going for a symptom, not
Yeah.
really the cause of the anger. You know, like people thought, oh yeah, she has this haircut because it's like just trying to tell us that there is going to be some agenda here and she's going to be the protagonist or something. And people complained that it's the same standard for many women protagonists right now. So they are advocating for diversity, but at the same time, they're doing exactly the same thing that many other people are already doing. So where's the diversity in that? You know, so that's the real complaint about the haircut. Not that it is, you know, the indication or because of this, then the show is going to be woke. No, it's not going that direction. At least not for what I have heard.
Now, before
Yes.
I let, sorry, I didn't mean to butt in, but quickly, Bud Boy Productions says, why does Griffin Newman like he wants to be anywhere but there? 2 reasons if you haven't watched this podcast before. Because the guy is so fucking scared to go to the bathroom mid-show, because you can tell this is definitely not, it might have been the name, but it feels more corporate made than an actual Smodcast. He has to go to the bathroom really fucking mad. And as much as he is trying to defend whatever the fuck they wrote under the table for him, because I think they're just jerking each other off. Those are fake Muppet tear hands. We went through all this. He needs to go to the bathroom, and we've watched him display that he can be a great voice actor, look real human, but his actual presence is more ego and pretentiousness than it is understanding why fans are saying things the way they are. And there's nothing about there's no
uncomfortable in this situation.
Mhm.
Like,
back
he's
of a
obviously, you know,
Volkswagen.
he's used to being behind the camera. He's used to being, you know, in a sound booth. He doesn't like being in front of an audience. You can tell.
Well, especially given what this is about. I think seriously, I think Steven hit it on the head though, in a way. I think Netflix is watching this.
Yeah.
I think that Kevin
Yeah.
is still well, he's still under their employ. And
He's
I
the
think he
punching
probably signed an NDA agreement anyway. He's going to be defending this and basically working on behalf of Netflix until such time as they either, you know, his contract ends or Netflix is done with him. And he is literally between a rock and a hard place in this. I don't think we'll ever really find out for quite a while what he truly thinks. Because again, in my opinion, he got hung out to dry.
Hey, where's Culture Casino? What? Wait, Commander Ed Straker of Shadow. Nice to see you, but I don't see Culture anywhere in my chat. That is so. Are you typing in the wrong chat? But nice to see you, sir. I just wanted to point. I was weirded out a little bit, but like, culture. Where did they find the zombie of Wally Cox to interview Kevin? that is good.
That's good.
It's like the
Oh
only
my.
puppet you don't want to shove your hand up its ass for.
I have to agree with Keith, like, I believe that since part 2 has not come out yet, Kevin Smith is still attached to this thing, and then his contract will end when that airs, or something like that. We don't know if there's going to be a second season after that one, but I wouldn't bet on it, given the tendency that Netflix has of just releasing like one season, and that's the end of the story. And they are going to focus more on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is the CGI animation. Also considering what Keith said yesterday, right, and what we were talking about before the show, I think that they're going to bet for that one instead of this thing, and this is going to be a one and done sort of thing.
So I'd agree with that. I think, and I would be very, very curious as well to find out what the actual decision was, who made this decision to split it into two lots of 5, because Netflix generally, it's a binge model that they do. They just release the entire season. I've never known them to split especially a cartoon into 2 halves.
Well, they have done something like that before. They kind of did that, I think, with the first season of Sabrina. And I think they did that with the first season of Lost in Space. I might be wrong.
No, you're wrong on that one. And Sabrina still got a full season. It just ended on a cliffhanger. The thing with this, I think what they were doing was testing the waters. They wanted to see whether or not the 5 episodes would cause enough upheaval and if they could sell enough toys. And the toy leaks came out before Simon Smith opened up. But I gotta address this quick because Rebecca, one day I'm going to punch you for that. But I want to thank you for the $20 super sticker saying the Shibu Samurai saying you're number 1. And Rebecca, no, you're number 1, and I'm going to have to give you the full as treatment.
A FAT-STEVENSEAGAL with 2 Canadian. Drinker was so mean and mocked my fatness and movies. Shut up, you fat fuck.
And that makes everyone feel better when they hear that. But thank you. But can I ask a quick question, Keith, before you get into yours? Do you think the reason why Kevin seems to be so adamant is not just that maybe Netflix is watching, even though he's persistently said that they don't care, they told him they don't care, is that it's giving him not the mortality of how much of what he thinks he is that he's not. And it's like the injection when you see people injecting themselves within comic book characters or new characters or variants of characters. We have now reached the point where he's injected himself into the property of making something great to his point of view and other people's point of view. But he's also had to realize that he's frail because the judgment could break the standing that is his ego.
Oh, you know what? That's pretty. That is an interesting angle, but I think I'm going to go more with what Chris Gore said when he was on Midnight's Edge yesterday, which was that his point of view on this is that Kevin is he really doesn't take criticism that well of any kind, and that he believes that the main reason why Kevin's never really gotten involved with any type of popular IP before is because of something like this, the possible reaction, having people hate it, and being of the type where you really can't handle criticism too well. I also believe that the Kevin Smith that you see that hosts these shows, that goes out and does his talks or does a lot of the meet and greets, is different from the Kevin Smith that Chris Gore, I think, has met several times and that people like Ben Affleck get a chance to know.
But they're friends, right?
I think in many ways, I think my statement yesterday about him having turned into Bruce Willis, the way he described Bruce Willis on the set of Cop Out, is pretty apt. That he actually, to a certain extent, kind of doesn't like a lot of the downside of what fame brings you. And this is one of those incidences. Because
Do you mean
go ahead.
scrutiny? Do you mean scrutiny, Keith? Is that what you're talking about?
Not so much scrutiny. No. I mean, just the constantness of it. The thing with Bruce Willis in that story, okay, is the fact that some people reach a certain level of fame where you literally cannot go anywhere. Okay. Bruce Willis started out, before he became famous, he was a bartender. And the bar where he worked at, there were many famous or soon to be famous people who would attend that bar that he worked at. Okay. One of those people is John Goodman. And I mean, there's like 3 or 4 people that used to always go to this bar, and all of those people became famous people. And amongst everybody that would go to the bar, Bruno, as he was known back then, was someone who seemed to have everything going for him to become a big star. And he literally was the last person out of this group to find any success. By the time Moonlighting came along, I think he seriously was thinking about quitting. That wasn't just a story with him. That was where he was headed. And so coming from the background that he has, I think he's about done. Seriously. I think the only reason why Bruce Willis is still working is because he's had, I think, 1 or 2 divorces in his life, and he owes a lot of money. He's just doing enough to pay his bills. And I think Kevin has reached that.
Before I get into that, Rebecca sends a $25 donation through Stream Elements with a black loving heart, and I'm gonna punch you, but thank you anyways. I'll hire a woman to do it for me so I don't get tagged for misogyny. But with that, thank you, Rebecca. I do appreciate everything. I'm glad you're going through a little bit less hassles, and the shop is, I understand what's going on, and for that, I don't know what to give you. You know what I'm going to give you? I'm going to give you this. And that wasn't good enough, so one more time.
And now
Thank
much
you.
better.
Yeah. I won't, no. But thank you so much, Rebecca. Budboy Production says, after hearing the way he talked about the stuff they wanted to do with Superman Lives and how he tried to fight back because fans wouldn't like it, and he does this to HeMan, money talks, I guess. That's certain true to an aspect, Budboy, but there's also there's another wizard behind the curtain for going from like the Wizard of Oz aspect, and this is the Netflix guy Teddy.
Yeah.
And Teddy is literally the yes or no final say in a lot of things. So as much as Kevin was trying to do things and working with all these people that are like have history with the lore or history with the property themselves, he still has the final say whatever's going on. And he's also, but Teddy, as most people haven't heard about much of, he's also an activist. So when even with a little bit of activism falls into place, especially with someone who's can be the yes or no of a certain property or show, movie, you're going to see their bias affected, even whether they're trying to or not. And now you can see where Kevin Smith falls in. His actions are his own, but he's also the middleman nerd punching bag between him and Teddy.
Yeah, and the thing is also that even though Mattel Television is the one producing this thing, in reality, the ones that are paying the bills, basically speaking, is Netflix and Ted Biaselli, for that matter. So then the final say in the end is Biaselli. Whatever he says goes. And I think that it's evident also because Rob David also came to the defense of Kevin Smith, saying that they wanted to do this to give it another perspective to the show and to the franchise. And we're talking about the guy that knows a lot about Masters of the Universe and wrote many of the comic books that we had that were really successful and interesting. And to go that way, it's like, I don't really think that that's what you are really thinking, but that's what you are being told that you have to say also because somebody else is paying for you.
Well, quickly, this is Teddy, but Mr. Chickentor says, can someone translate the Viking guy? I can't understand him.
You need a dictionary.
I think he's looking for the right lipstick for you. He's now tossed up between you and Keith. Who did get my love first?
The thing about all of that is that I still am of the belief that there had to be a difference with all of this He-Man stuff that Netflix has. Just like there had to be a different kind of Star Trek that Kurtzman is running.
He's not writing
and that
Steel stuff. He just puts his name on it. What are you talking about? He's
well, I mean,
writing involves using hand-eye coordination with pen, pencil, but it's pretty much him. It's like a Swiss Chalet, like maze mat and a crayon. Let's be serious here.
but I'm also of the belief that they were trying to create their own He-Man universe that was exclusive to Netflix. And they were trying to basically, they were basically trying to do with two different projects what J. Michael Straczynski was able to do with Babylon 5 with one project, which is create a beginning, middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. And so this particular project, Masters of the Universe Revelations, is meant to be the end point of that story. And having this other project, the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe project that Rob is doing for kids, is meant to kind of replace the original series and create its own mythos unto Netflix. So you've got the beginning and all of the adventures that eventually leads to Revelations.
But what bothers me, Keith, is that if they're going to go down and try to create their own mythos and universe, why didn't they open it up and they could have had like classic He-Man, the classic people battling, and then been like, meanwhile, on an alternate timeline, and just do something like that, or an alternate.
Because the idea is that when Andre at Midnight's Edge did his investigation into all of this, Ted actually responded to a fan who was kind of sort of asking that same thing. And his own thing about it is the fact that, I think he was being asked, why change characters? Why race swap or swap sexes when you could create brand new characters? And Ted was saying, that is an interesting idea. It's something that they're very much in favor of, but he blamed it on the fact that many fans, if you were to create a brand new character, wouldn't take to that character or would reject that character in favor of just all the characters they already know, which is the reason why they do that, which is dumb, because if you are a good writer, you can write anything. There are characters that have been added over the years to Masters of the Universe, even to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, that, not every character that you see is a character that initially starts out with the original concept. Heck, even Superman has a lot of characters like that. Jimmy Olsen was not a character that started out in the comics with Clark and Lois. It was just Clark, Lois, and Perry White.
Yeah.
And he wasn't there for years.
Yeah. But when did they actually add him in? Was it in the comics or was it in the DC animated show?
Actually, Jimmy was a character that I think they added to the radio show, that it was also very instrumental in creating Kryptonite. Kryptonite wasn't even a part of the comics initially. That was all part of the radio show.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's the thing that some of these writers, quote unquote writers, right, don't understand, that things can be done. The problem is that they don't want to take time in establishing those new characters.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, because you got to be talented to do it, first of all. There is a fear that what you create may not live up to. And that's fine. It happens. But you've got to try. Yeah, life is not about having the same 5 to 10 people in your life your entire life. In your life, you're going to go out, meet new people. Some friends you'll be friends with your entire life, and other friends will leave your life, and you'll replace them with other people that you meet eventually. That's the way life is.
But are you saying that Hollywood isn't like imagination? We're pretty much taking a chance, because taking a chance is pretty much related to the dollar. But this is also stifled imagination in Hollywood and taking a chance on an indie property or something like that. But you're right with the creativity. But if they're hiring people no longer based off creativity and just off a checklist, then Hollywood has literally turned the movie industry, or even comic books, video games, anything. You know what it's turned it into? Goddamn grocery list.
Oh, it's even worse than that, Stephen. No.
It's eventually everything molds and fades.
What has happened is, ever since corporations got into Hollywood and started affecting how everything is made, and borrowing large sums of money, it's changed everything. It's the money that has really changed everything, because you don't want to invest $150 million in a project that's just going to get ignored by the general public. You want to make sure that people watch it because you're spending $150 million.
Yeah.
Okay. You could easily take that money and create like 3 or 4 features that don't cost as much. But the thing is that corporations now initially started out using Hollywood as a way to, they were wanting to use it like an ATM or like a sure thing in going to Vegas, basically. They wanted to be able to invest X amount of dollars, get that X amount of dollars back out, but also have all of this money that comes with it, a profit. That's really what they've been trying to do. So you have to go with properties and IP that people recognize. That's what burns me up about the whole anti-comic book thing. If you think getting rid of comic books is going to stop this, you, my friend, are just kidding yourself. Because before comic books became the thing, we were taking old IP from television. Again, I keep telling people, we've already had a My Favorite Martian and a Bewitched films. We've done both of those. And for a lot of people of a certain younger age who've never heard of it, you're probably going, well, what is that? I mean, you got to be of a certain age to even understand what those were originally. And so, but Hollywood's going to go back to doing that. They could stop making comic book films tomorrow. And we're just going to, we'll do a Different Strokes movie next. I guarantee you that's on the list.
I want to add something, Keith, quickly. Sorry, go ahead, Purple first, ladies first.
I was going to say, that's the crux of the thing, isn't it? Hollywood aren't willing to take any chances anymore. That's why we have so many remakes. That's why we have the reboots. I would be curious to ask as well, the He-Man show that we had in the 80s, they didn't have linear storylines. It was generally, each episode was its own contained story. This Revelation is a continuous story. Do you think that's thrown a lot of people, or do you think that really didn't factor?
I think they just.
think so.
I just think they've nitpicked different things, and even like from the Thunder. If we're going from even like the Thundercats and with He-Man, I think they just took little bits and pieces, tried to connect the lore, and tried to make their own story bits and pieces. But the one thing they forgot, and I got 2 people I have to quickly add in. They should have Qui-Gon Gimli says they should have advertised it as a remake and what if story, not a continuation of the original. They add new characters every season on the 80s show. People will like them if they're good. I do agree with that. But the second thing is, that's where the lies fall in with Kevin Smith as a generalization. We have Netflix's description saying it's an actual sequel. We have him saying it's a spiritual successor. We have other people claiming it's a multiverse thing, and nobody's giving a straight story because I don't even think they know the straight story. And Andrew 46 and 2 says, but why make Tila an insufferable slag if she's going to be the main character? That's the problem. That's the biggest problem next to the lies here. And Chris, I will get to you in 1 second, sir. We have 5 episodes that came out, and this also relates to what Purple was asking before about the whole split of 5 episodes now and 5 episodes later. What the problem is even if they still maintain this storyline, we have no emotional attachment to the characters that we know. We have no actual legitimate belief that these are the characters that they are, due to the fact that if we're not even looking at the 133 or whatever episodes in the classic He-Man, we have a woman, Tila, who just earned the rank of Man-at-Arms, which is a high-class rank. And then one lie, one instance of self-sacrifice not only turns her into the most insufferable person where she's willing to throw down all the past wars and friendships and everything they've learned together over those episodes, if we're going through like spiritual success or whatever the fuck they want to call it in this broomstick multiverse, and it doesn't matter anymore. That's like saying the people you serve with in a war or in a certain battle are not good enough anymore because they lied to you once.
Yeah.
Right then and there,
Well-
it's a disservice.
Well, let me also put it this way. It would be like if Netflix were to somehow get the rights to classic Star Trek and create their own Star Trek universe with the original characters of Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and the rest. And Kirk dies, and somehow Kirk was keeping a secret from the crew, which pissed off Mr. Spock, and he goes on a rampage and decides he's just going to kill Klingons and Romulans, and that Kirk lied to him. Probably McCoy knew, so he's mad at McCoy. And notice how I am putting all of that. Now, unless you are a fan of the original series, you're not really noticing that the big trip on this is, hey, it's Mr. Spock and he's pissed.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the thing with Kevin, and at least one or two of the other writers that he had with him, because this was also something Chris Gore got into yesterday, and I didn't really think about this, but it makes sense. Kevin, along with myself, we were past the age of when this show would really have been effective for us. You know, I was already in high school by the time by the time He-Man hit the air, and Kevin was, I think, 11, and so he had just missed out on seeing this series the way that quote unquote fans of a certain age have. So that's really what it comes down to. You have someone who, not in a mean way, he just wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
And he accepted the job of helping to create something new. That means that he was totally dependent on the two people that were supposed to be experts to help him make a better series.
Yeah.
And it turns out that one of them wasn't always around, and that the other one had their own idea how they wanted to do things and used that against Kevin in the writer's room to basically create their own version of it. And Kevin's now dealing with the after effects. This is what happens when you don't do the research. And Kevin depended on Ted to help keep everything straight, and Ted effed him. That's really what it came down to.
I'm going to butt in quickly, and then Viking, you can go quickly. I apologize. And Chris Persia comes in feeding me a burger because I'm not fat already. Thank you very much for that 149 super sticker. And for that, I will definitely give you the...
No.
Thank you, sir. But Viking, go ahead, and then we're going to get back into this.
Yeah, I also think that one of the biggest problems that we have, not only with Masters of the Universe right now, but with all of Hollywood, is that because of these people that have control, like Tate Biaselli, or in this case, to a lesser extent, Kevin Smith, they hire repurposers and retoolers because they are easily controlled. I mean, you're not going to tell someone that knows how to write things to write them in a certain way. I mean, to put it just in this example, you're not going to tell Salvatore to write Dungeons and Dragons more inclusive in this way or in this other way because you want it to, because he's a renowned writer. But if you hire someone that is an activist, an idealist, fresh from college or something, and they are craving for an opportunity to prove themselves or to step into the club that is Hollywood, of course they're going to take it and they're going to say yes to everything. And that is another thing that is also plaguing Hollywood, that and the comic book industry as well, and many other entertainment industries, they are hiring these people that don't know anything, but also say yes to everything because they want to keep the job and they want to open up more opportunities for themselves.
Quickly, Mr. Chickle Trunk is saying, what is he saying? Followed by all I hear is the Swedish chef. God damn it, dude, what are you doing to me right now? Oh, sorry.
You know what, though? That's exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head. And again, that covers not only what we have here with this show, but that covers what we have going on with Star Wars, Doctor Who, and Star Trek. Okay, this is what was done with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. What was done to that property is pretty much the game plan for a lot of other popular IP. And it's not going to stop anytime soon, unless something fails. And when I say fail, I mean spectacularly fail. It's one thing to fail. If you really want to stop people from doing this, it has to fail spectacularly. It has to be a big failure.
And with that, we're getting back into this because we haven't even got to the point where we stopped yesterday. This is a great discussion, but I really don't want to press play, but we have to. Nightsen says the money is going to stop, that's for sure. And with that,
I was like, yeah, it was ripped up. We stole it from Kyler Lee on Supergirl.
Yeah,
she did that through her hair one year. I was like, that looks wicked. Let's do that.
Yeah, she looks awesome. But yes, it is always framed with this, like, that's not what the real fans care about. Why are you doing this stuff that's going to go wasted on real fans? And the thing I really don't like, and I say this as non-antagonistically as possible, is fans defining which fans count.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I'm going to play this real quick again, but I'm just going to say one thing. Hear what he said. He says, I'm not going to say this without being antagonistic, and he started laughing. He's already bullshitting. That's a lie. He got joy because he was antagonizing. This real fan shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What he's trying to say right now is he's trying to dictate who the real fans are, and the other people bitching who the real fans are should shut the fuck up and let these people who create the show or voice the show should fucking talk.
And they're trying to shame them. They're trying to shame fans that didn't like this thing.
Look at the seriousness of his face. And he's like, dude, I really need to pee.
Other fans count.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at something like Motu that's 40 years old, has had all these different things. I was saying to you earlier today, the first stuff written for Motu was the mini comics that came with the figures, because they didn't have a show on the air yet.
Yep.
And when the show comes out, they negate a lot of the stuff in the mini comics. And you see fans online who go, once they started the cartoon show, the thing was over for me. Right? I was out. Then they ruined the character. I liked him better when he was a barbarian. He went and met a green lady and she gave him a harness. Right? That was for me.
That is the mini comic.
Right. That's the last time He-Man was good for me. And then there are people who go, it ends when Filmation ends. I only like the 2000 X version. I like the comics. I like this. I like that. Right? People like it for different reasons. And different people like it for different reasons. And these people.
And some people, there are a lot of people who seem mad at us who were big fans of the Mike Young production 2002 version. They're like,
was a good production.
You fucked that up. And I'm like, but we couldn't even touch that. That wasn't allowed.
Right.
Allowable for us to play with.
Okay, whoa, wait. That goes to the heart of what all of this is about, though. What Kevin and Griffin aren't talking about, and what Ted, I think, doesn't either want to talk about or doesn't want this to get out, is the fact of what Andre had brought up, which is that they are under a different license. There is no way Masters of the Universe Revelations is a direct sequel to the original series. It's not. It can't be.
Then they better tell the people that whoever's writing the descriptions on Netflix to fucking get that description changed, because I called that right fucking away. I'm like,
that's right. But here's
advertising.
But that's it. That's really what is at the heart of all this, at least for Ted. He wants to run as far away from that as possible. So by going on the offense, taking on the fans that aren't happy and treating it as if, they are the worst people in the world, that's really straw dogging, is really what that is. But and they are straw dogging all of this because they don't want you to consider that. That really is that they misrepresented what this was. Because to me personally, I don't think I would have minded any of this if they had at least just been forthcoming with what this actually was, and they weren't.
No. Probably you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, well, the way they marketed the first trailer, that was all about, it was the 80s nostalgia, Bonnie Tyler, I Need a Hero, that got people hyped up. And then we had the intro, which I think was universally loved, because that intro was straight from the box art, from the toys. And
Can
then,
yes.
Purple, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm going to here. Like you just said, what was the song again? We Need a Hero?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean they kind of that trailer was ripped off from the Guardians of the Galaxy preview announcement for the game? Remember how they played the same song?
I remember
they tried the Guardians of the Galaxy this shit. Oh my god.
Shrek 2 also, I think, right? With
yes,
Fairy Godmother.
I'll go on, Purple. Then I'm going to get the Tickletron.
No, it was just a classic. It's an 80s power ballad, isn't it? People know that song. It got people hyped up, but it was a bait and switch. It was a lie. It wasn't about a hero. It was about Tila. And had they been honest from the beginning and said, you know what, this is set in the Masters of the Universe, world, but we're not going to focus on He-Man this time. We're going to tell Tila's story. I don't think we would be having this conversation.
No, none of this would have happened. It would have been great because Tila would have had a reluctant hero arc, understanding that not only that she has to save Eternia and the magic that keeps the world alive and all of its people, she would have to accept the fact of where she came from, who her actual parent or parents are, and the fact that she has a destiny that has to relate with magic as much as she effing hates it. And Mr. Trunk says, I'm sick of people ruining and then throwing out tons of cope to protect their feelings because nobody accepts their vision. But that's the problem right there. Their vision. They're claiming that He-Man is theirs, and their vision is the problem. They're not doing it selflessly. They're doing it from their aspect. And this falls on Teddy at the same time. There was also someone else who said something. And yet nobody likes this steaming pile for many reasons. I love the animation, though, Chris. I do, and I love Orko. I don't love the voice actor, but Orko was fantastic. He finally got
the music too, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's Bear McQuarrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, look, everybody can have different versions of things. I don't mind them having a version, but I think it should have been marketed as a story set within the world of in the world of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And they could have even marketed this kind of like Infinity War and Endgame, in that here it is, the battle. This is the end of the Masters of the Universe. And that's how they could have done it. They could have come out and said, this is a big deal. This is huge. This is the end of this entire world, because everything changes.
Honestly, Keith, they could have done it amazingly. What happens when our hero sacrifices himself and all that's left is the people that served and worked with him from side by side? Who will pick up the mantle to not only defend Grayskull, but defend Eternia? And then you would have given that emotional dread of who is willing to, who is capable of, and then gone on. And Night Sense says the same thing that most people have been saying for the last 2 days, even before this. I think Kevin Smith died when he had that heart attack. I don't know who the fuck this dude is. Knightson, I kind of agree, but I think that heart attack gave him the realization of his mortality. And with that mortality, the realization of what he's done in life, how he's going to be remembered. And as much as he's tried to apply himself to He-Man, he's not applying himself to the fans or to the people watching it. It's the selfish thing about their view. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, their view is a single mind when you have millions expecting something that they can share with the family, friends, just anything, share with themselves, relive a moment. That's where the detachment from Hollywood and people who aren't in Hollywood come from. This is all my perspective, but you're right in a way. We all know Jason Mewes is wearing Kevin Smith's skin. We all know this by now.
There's no other explanation.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, once Kevin is away from this, and he's away from Teddy and Netflix, I think what you're going to see is someone that'll probably not be so inclined to get involved with popular IPs that he doesn't control in some way. And I think he's learned a lesson about who to trust and who not to trust. Because look, for all intents and purposes, Teddy was his boss.
Yeah,
it's really what it came down to, and he did what his boss said. I'm not. It's not that I'm trying to make excuses for Kevin. I'm just
You're giving perspective.
Yeah, it's just it is, even for someone like Kevin Smith, while he has more money than I do, he's definitely not one of those movers and shakers in Hollywood that has so much cash that he can do anything he wants.
Before you go on, Keith, quickly, Sox Bulletin says, so what you're saying is, I don't know if this is related to Kevin Smith and Orko, the voice actor, or us, but if anyone that likes Master Reviews is wrong for liking it, then if that's directed at Kevin, I can't speak for him, but that's not what we're saying at all. I will never say you shouldn't like something because I don't like it.
Yeah. That's not right. That's mental.
That's literally manipulation on the highest degree. I will not ever stand for that.
It's you can like whatever you like, man. I
Mm.
mean, anybody can like whatever. It's just the fact that don't be a D-bag if you're one of the creators behind it.
Yeah.
And act like, you know, your S doesn't stink or that you walk on water when you do it. You know, and in the case of Kevin Smith, I think he'll eventually come out. That what actually happened behind the scenes is eventually going to come out. That Ted basically used Netflix's money to make his own version of the Masters of the Universe,
his own immortality,
and got Kevin Smith to basically jump through all the hoops to make it happen, and that's it.
Yeah, and Trinoculus P with a $10 super chat says, for you and Dad. My dad's doing better. He's healing. He's back at home. And thank you very much, Trinoculus P. I do appreciate that. That will go towards my earplugs. I'm just kidding. And for that, sir, I'm sorry. I'm going to die alone in the couch with cheesecake all over my stomach.
This town needs an enema. This town needs an enema.
That was for each of the $5 because I felt really insecure for that joke right now. But I want to bring up another thing too. Tickle Trunk is right here. No one is wrong for liking anything. I agree with that. And it also says the critique is on the show and the writers, the production, etc., not the fans of the Motu show. That's exactly it. This is the whole reason why I wanted people to come on here and do this, because we can break it down, see what they're saying, find the hypocrisy if there is any, and try to explain that some things might not have been in his control as much as we think it is, but at the same time that at the end of the day, we still hold the money, we still hold the Netflix subscriptions, we still hold the ability to ride the 7 seas or not. We can still appreciate parts of a show for what it is, and we can dislike the for what it's not. And that's the one thing that we've forgotten with a lot of conversation, discussion when it comes to like being around the YouTube community, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook or anything, or just going to the grocery store and you're just randomly talking online. The ability to communicate, discuss, and respect another person's opinion, likes, dislikes, is how society is supposed to function and learn how to adapt with one another as thy neighbor, not as thy foe. And we are forgetting that.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, very well said, mate. Yeah.
It's also a chance to take a shot back at the people that call us, all the names under the sun, as has happened with this, for simply not liking a show and telling them why we don't like it. It had nothing really to do with the character designs, although they were criticised. It was all about the writing.
See, and Project Storytime says Kevin Smith released the DVD and sold it for profit, being angry at what was happening with Superman. But he is actually a fan of Superman, so it's not being a toxic fan when he does it. F him. I'll respect your opinion. Yes. And that's the whole thing, though. I think he seems to have forgotten what he's done and how he's literally been on this side of this side of the StreamYard. And I'm not doing this for monetary gain. I'm doing this because I like seeing people in the chat giving their own opinions, discuss it. I like having people on this panel that just wanted to watch this, participate, and talk about this. But Josh, I will never tell you you're wrong in your opinion or how you feel about another man. And I will respect that. And I can still call you a friend.
The other thing with Kevin Smith about what he did about Superman is you notice how a lot of that changed once everything started coming out. Because I think that had more to do with Man of Steel. But when everything started coming out about Warner Brothers and Zack Snyder and all that stuff, how that story changed. And notice he didn't put out another DVD saying, well, I was wrong. That's one of the other things. I think Kevin Smith had always tried to market himself like one of us. And the only thing that this particular incident with Netflix has done is it's shown that he doesn't really think he's one of us.
Yeah.
And that he doesn't feel the need to apologize. Apologizing really does hurt his brand.
But we're not owed an apology, Keith.
No. I mean,
yeah, but yeah.
I mean is, you shouldn't really go out and try to mislead your fans. The one reason why Kevin has never really tried anything like this before, has never really tried to do anything with a popular IP, was as Chris Gorf said yesterday, is that he was terrified of doing anything that would disrupt his relationship to the fan base that not only he has cultivated, but to the way he has cultivated even people that weren't even big fans of his films.
Mhm.
This version of Kevin Smith, the guy that's going out there to sell
Kevin
people.
Muse? It's Kevin Muse, sir. It's definitely, yeah. And before you go quickly, I want to say something. Paul Muse makes a great point. If you don't know HeMan and see this and like it, that is for you. And not all will like it. You do me, you do you, and I'll do me. That falls into the same pretense. There's also an underlying fact that we talked about before. When it comes to Star Trek, like Kurtzman's Trek, Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, we're also at the point now where we're having a certain type of audience who are being introduced to Star Trek or Star Wars for the first time. And the first things they're seeing is it's like when first people see the prequels. That's why they love the prequels. They're seeing Discovery for the first time. They're seeing Picard for the first time. And they're seeing this adaptation with the label on it, but then they'll either make the choice to either stick with what's current, or they'll rabbit hole to the back and watch the previous stuff that's all under that one title. And that in itself it is a very thin line, because we have people here that think that they're being personally attacked because they like Picard, because Picard's all they know. Yeah. So it's not so much as an echo chamber at this point, or a glass house. It's the inability to not kneel when someone doesn't like the same thing you do. You're always going to have some people going after you. And the thing is, Valhalla especially has taught me this in general. We do not kneel, but I will always be beside you if you fall and need a hand up. And that's across a lot of our channels, a lot of our chat.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I just, look, I'm one of those people that in that respect, how they wrote Tila, yeah, lying is bad. If you have to lie to me to get me to be a part of something, especially if you're someone whose work I enjoy or who I identify with, you're at risk of losing me as a fan and a customer. And that's really what it comes down to me with Kevin Smith. You know, I blame him for not standing up to Teddy and just saying, hey, man, you know, we really need to consider all fans and not just consider
the
how
activists.
You're viewing things.
Yeah,
you got to tell good stories.
I think I would like to point out something there from what Kit said, because I think also that either Kevin Smith was given something that he could not refuse, like an opportunity to work with Netflix in the future, or something really big, or maybe something of a threat also going on his head, because I cannot really understand how, given this background that you already talked about, Keith, he would accept to do this, and as you said, not stepping up to be a SLE only because he is the one that is signing out the paychecks, you know? So I really think that maybe he was offered something really big and juicy that he has always wanted, because the reality is that he built up a career as an independent creator, but he has always wanted, despite how much he has smeared Hollywood in the past, he has always wanted to go into Hollywood.
Yeah. And again, I don't begrudge him. Just be honest. And if you can't be honest,
shut your mouth.
Yeah, just shut your. That's really what he should have done. He never should have been saying a lot of the stuff that he was saying before. He should have just kept quiet and just said, "Look, this is coming on Netflix. This is the date when it premieres. Check it out."
It's the same. It falls into the same pretense. Even the whitest lie can cause the most damage, and that even falls with Tila here, and like that. Like in Socks, I get where you're coming from too. Whether I don't believe in the titles. I don't believe in the hashtags. Like, yes, they're great for like finding the people you can relate to and have discussions and feel comfortable. But that does not define an individual. A hashtag. We don't walk around with a hashtag above our head, or anything like that. So I will never. I don't think anyone here, especially ones that have conscious and like talking, like we used to come from a generations where we would debate over who was the best Jedi, or who was the best Sith, or who was the best captain, and we would go hours on end. It would be at cons, it'd be at con posters, it would be in the fucking public washrooms. I've actually had tried to take a shit with two guys arguing who was better, Kirk or Picard. It was so awful. So I want to take Riker and get the fuck out. I think everyone has the right to own their opinion, to own their choice, and be who they are. If anyone tries to take that away from you, are they really respecting you? And you know what the best thing about that is? You don't have to acknowledge them. If you don't acknowledge them because you don't think you're being respected or they're not listening, you have every right to just acknowledge. Like, no, just don't feed the fire. Accept yourself. You got to wake up with yourself. It's perfectly fine.
Yep.
And this is the problem with these two right now. I don't think they're going to sleep and waking up feeling comfortable with themselves, because this is going to weigh over them because they think that we're attacking their character. We're not. We're attacking the actions. The human being and the actions are two different things. The human being makes the actions, but we can always criticize the actions, not the human being. Hate is such a strong word. It hurts people.
Yeah.
I like to think that basically is what Griffin Newman's doing. I think Kevin Smith actually knows what's going on. And again, that's the reason why I say that as soon as he's able to speak freely, I think he will, because he's done it in the past. You know, I think he's under an NDA. I think he is attached to Teddy and Netflix for at least another year and a half before he can say anything. But I think eventually he's going to say something. Because as Chris Gore said, you know, Kevin is someone who wanted to avoid this type of situation, because no matter what, unless Teddy offered him a major deal through Netflix covering at least 2 or 3 or 4 projects, if he doesn't have that kind of deal, I don't think Kevin's loyalty to him is going to stay intact after the NDA or contract runs out. I think as soon as he's able to, he's going to tell.
Yes.
And we're going to have to get back into this, because literally we have had we've had great discussion, and I feel so bad that we still have to stare at their face.
That up, and then you realize that's their masters of the universe.
Right, and that's no more or less valid, right? And the other part of it is some of the people who are not just fans of this thing, but like pillars of the community, people who are hosting podcasts and doing fan art and doing cosplay and writing the bios on the back of the action figures, are people who are part of the communities that you're saying don't matter and don't count as real fans. Not to mention the people who work on these things themselves, built the building blocks of the things you're loving in the first place, have played these roles, have written these parts, have done this animation, what have you. It's a big bummer when I see people going like, why are you trying to please them? They're not real fans. Who are you to say? You're a real fan. I'm not going to tell you you're not a real fan just because you're being a dick to these other fans.
Yeah.
That's your choice. You're a real fan.
It's always been fandom, though, as far back as I can recall. It's a bunch of people dressed like stormtroopers going, look at those fucking jerks dressed like Vulcans.
Right.
I do love this part because it's true.
But, you know, it's tribal. I've always gotten that. And going into this, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, I've always felt like, oh my God, everyone will love this. Like, it's so sweet. And it would, you know, it's not even me taking credit going, I'm a great writer. I had a lot of help. And also, even the shit I did by myself was predicated on shit other people did years and years ago. So there was very little creativity involved. There was very much taking all the assets and all the backstory and mythology and shaping something fairly new and stuff. So, like, in doing that, you know, I had a lot of help. The Powerhouse Animation kids, our directors, Pat and Adam, writers in and of themselves and how much they added to the show and whatnot. So this ain't just me going like, I like what I do, so I thought everyone else would. But I felt like for the first time in my career, like I made something that more than Kevin Smith fans would enjoy. And I was like, wow, and it works. And like, I think it's going to play. And it's doing that. For a lot of people, but some people it's not doing that for it. But you know, in my child's heart, I hope that it would have blanketed everybody. I hope it would have made people happy. Like I've never once tried to be fucking divisive in my career. It's like a running joke in my fucking career. I've been doing this shit 27 years, and then I wind up doing shit that like makes people mad, and it's not my intention. There's some people that are provocateurs who like go out of their way to fucking piss the audience off.
You
and stuff
cannot
like
please
I'm
everyone.
at that guy, man. I'm just like fucking like I'm a stoner. I'm like, I don't want no fucking hassle and shit. And my whole career, like shit will happen where it's, you know, like fucking Chasing Amy. Some people got mad. Dogma.
Yeah,
a lot of fucking people got mad and shit with the death threats.
Yeah.
Jersey Girl, oddly enough, a lot of fucking people got mad. Fucking Yoga Hosers, like periodically, Mallrats, even some people got mad. People that loved Clerks were like, fuck this Mallrats. Maybe we put you where you are and this is what you make. Fuck that. So there's no matter what you intend, like, and I have the purest intentions for Masters of the Universe, like you'll wind up hitting.
Quick statement from Bud Boy Productions. Have they got electrodes attached to Kevin's balls under the table and Teddy is off screen with the control? That is hilarious. I don't know. I don't want to picture that.
Just a quick one as well. He's talking about all the hate that he got for his other films. I'm pretty sure he hasn't received death threats for He-Man. So why is he so bent out of shape about the criticism from this particular show?
Because that's really their job. Their job is to try to turn all of this around. See, what Griffin and Kevin are doing is kind of it's a tactic.
Damage control.
It is damage control, but it's also reframing everything. You're taking all of the arguments and you're making it more about, hey, look what they're doing to us. This, they're trying to basically, they admitted, Kevin admitted to the one or two things in his mind that he did wrong and really didn't admit to anything or even really apologize. And then you spend a majority of your time doing nothing but spin, turning everything around and saying, hey, they're against us when they criticize. Every criticism we've ever received is against all of us and not just those of us that made this.
But Powerhouse, I'll give a shout out to Powerhouse. I did love the animation. I don't fucking care. I loved it, except for one thing. And I was really hoping someone has already. I forgot we were supposed to do already, but Moon Prism Power He-Man kind of threw me off. And I didn't even notice it at first until someone showed it to me. And I wanted to do it, and I did it side by side in my off time, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Yep. It's Sailor He-Man, but I'm trying
Sailor
to figure out
Returnia. Yep.
Yeah. You gotta get him like a little tiara.
Yeah, he's gonna punish you in the name of the moon or something like that.
Yeah. Before I get into that though, this is the first time I've ever had him on my show, ever had him on my panel. He's greatly supportive. He always has great ideas, and he's a mod on the channel. I'm gonna welcome Zax. How are you doing, sir?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. There goes my cherry.
Okay. Why I popped your cherry?
Yeah. My live stream cherry is gone.
All right. Well, welcome to Pop Your Cherry with FAT-STEVENSEAGAL. Well, no, I'm not finishing this thing.
Hello, Terry.
Hey. But yeah. So you've probably been watching this since yesterday, right? Because we've been going a lot into this. And if I'm putting you on the spot and you haven't, my bad. Do you have any thoughts so far of what? Have you even watched the Smodcast before we did this?
Yeah, I've watched it. I watched it before. Well, I guess I skipped through it before, and I've been watching this whole stream with you guys. And there's a few things, but one of the things I'm taking from it that no one's talking a lot about is that the show sucks.
It does.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that right away because I don't want to drive people into thinking like we're attacking them. But yeah, I can agree. Like, I have no energy to watch any more of it. What you should do is watch War for Cybertron because that is good.
It's beautiful though. The show looks so good that you want to like it. And I don't have a big background with He-Man, but I don't like the things Kevin Smith has done. But when I'm watching it, there's just nothing there. It's a bad story about people that I don't really care that much about, and they didn't convince me to care about them during the show, even though it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
Poorly written.
It's like a show that could have just been better if you had Braille.
Well, it's 100%. It's truly the blind leading the talented. You have someone in Ted who I don't think is known for having written anything. He was a performer, basically. He started out acting. He's in one of the Night of the Museum films. He was a voiceover actor. He's done all that stuff, and he has control of a room of writers who are all hanging on every word that he has to say because he's the boss. He's writing the checks.
But they also believe that because he knows so much about He-Man, or supposedly is a super fan or whatever type of fan, they think that his word is law. And
That's right.
the problem. No one's contradicting or trying to give an opposite way of handling things. And the world doesn't run on yes men.
That's right. That's basically was the downfall of this project. This is what happens when you get a room full of talented people and you turn them all into yes men and yes women.
Yes. That is true, and also the writers that accompanied Kevin Smith, I think they don't even have any credits to their name. Like Tim Sheridan, who was like the writer on one of these things, I don't even know if he has written anything extra, or Diamisha or something like that. I don't think he has written anything.
Gentlemen, before I hate to do this, cut you on purple. You had to say you had to go. Is that still true?
Yes. Sorry, guys, I've got to jump off because it's going to get a little bit late for me.
I appreciate it.
Nice to serve with you, Purple. Hope to run into you again.
You are always welcome on We Got This Buttered. No, it's not some type of stream that's going to eventually talk about wrestling and mud, okay? But visitors are always available. That's what I'm going to stick with that joke from earlier.
Glad to see you, Valkyrie.
You too, sweetheart. Thank you, guys. And big thank you to the chat. I will be listening in later to hear the rest of this. I love the way that you've gone in depth with this. I think it was a fantastic idea.
Thank you, and thank you for giving for wanting to participate. I appreciate people who love that. I do. I really do.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Purple.
Nice to meet you too, Jax. Congratulations. Welcome to the live streaming.
Welcome to the Pop Cherry Stevens stream.
Thank you.
Next time wait, hold on. I gotta do this right before everyone goes, because this will be perfect. Welcome to the Pop Cherry stream with FAT-STEVENS Crisco. There we go. Right. It's really awkward right now, like the back of a Volkswagen. Thank you, Mandy's.
At least there's Crisco.
Still makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's all it doesn't say to me. I'm used to it. Love it. Thank you. Have a lovely evening, Purple. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye,
Purple. It just seems kind of appropriate, though, in certain ways that we talk about this. And today is the birthday of artist Dave Stevens.
Yeah.
Oh, the great Dave Stevens.
Yeah, the great Dave Stevens, whose Rocketeer is still in the hands, technically, of Disney. And Disney's in the middle of basically wanting to do something with that property. And they've already told everybody what it is. I mean, it sounds like a bad idea. But they are going to give the rocket to another person.
Don't they have that somewhere in like a series or something, animation or something, where the granddaughter gets, the rocket or something like that? I think
it's not the granddaughter, but I mean they're going to give it to a young black woman who's going to take it.
Yep, there it is. Didn't they do like a 3D animated kids cartoon where it was handed off to?
Yeah, and again, it's not like they contacted Dave Stevens' estate to do that. Disney still has technically the rights to it because of the movie. They have a certain amount of time with that, although I would have thought that it would have ran out long ago, but that shows you how much I know about a lot of the legal stuff that goes into a lot of these contracts. But I just think that, as I said earlier, what's ruining Hollywood is the corporatization of entertainment.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations have way more control than they should on the creative side of everything. And that the amount of money being thrown in is all part of this complex system that they have that basically causes them to have to spend a lot of money and then be hyper vigilant as far as getting people to respond, preferably in a positive way to what they've created, and thus all of the merchandising attached to that IP and blah, and on and on and on and on. And this is getting out of control. This is really getting out of control.
Why is it that I'm hearing when Keith says it, I'm picturing Hollywood being like the really insecure boyfriend or girlfriend that's going up going, I don't think he likes me anymore. I scraped my teeth once and he looked very angry, but we finished and then we woke up and he wouldn't talk about things and he was waddling funny. I forgot I left the cucumber in there. Did you still love me? Who is she? Bullshit. You know what I mean, though? It's like you say complex, but it's complex means they thought about it. The checklist isn't thinking about it. We just write down and go, we got this. Twitter analyst told us to put this, this. Maybe you're right, but
you got people trying to be creative who aren't. You know, Kathleen Kennedy isn't the only one. It's just the fact that you've got mainly marketing people and other people who are not creative people telling creative people how to do their work. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's all logical, no emotional.
But it's also where Biaselli fits in perfectly, because he is he's an activist first and foremost before being a human collector, for example. So he fits in perfectly with what the Netflix top heads, want for the streaming service to be, because there is also something of a group thing in Hollywood where they are all like, all right, this is what we're looking at on Twitter or social media, whatever, and we need to address this and we need to cater to this audience. But the reality is that Twitter is not the rest of the world, neither is Facebook, and of course all that agenda and all those politics and ideologies, that is just dribble. It's not real. Like when you go outside, you don't really see it. So they are so disenfranchised that they think that's where they should be going. And then all this corporativism is taking it that way by means of just nurturing the creative flow of these people,
hold on. I forgot to ask, Viking, you do have two testicles before you made that statement, right? Otherwise, that's very you see, that's how stupid it sounds. That's literally how stupid it sounds. Can we get back into this? Is that okay with you guys? I hate sounding like a
go ahead.
We got so much nightmare to go, and there's no Christmas for a while.
People who are like, you suck. But this is one of those moments that links up with the other big you suck moments in my career. Now, some of those moments turned out later on, I didn't suck so hard. Like Mallrats, they came after me hard going, this sucks, particularly the critics. And 10 years later,
sequel.
Exactly.
Right.
10 years later,
would you like a chocolate covered pretzel?
Fell in love with it and shit like that. So I know I've been doing this long enough to know like this will absolutely pass. I know there's some people that some people sent screenshots of I've canceled my Netflix subscription and shit like that.
Right, it's like good luck watching Bridgerton now. You're only hurting yourself. What are you going to talk about around the office? Come on, you're playing yourself. There's 5 more to go. Hopefully, when they see the people that see them, people that enjoy it will enjoy it even more. And then hopefully the people who are like, this isn't what I wanted, will be like, now this is what I'm fucking talking about. But there will always be, I feel like, a contingency of people that are like, no, this is not it for me. Yeah.
So I've gotten like the single best reviews of my career. I got a certified fucking fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. That never happens for any Kevin Smith shit whatsoever. But oddly enough, if you look over at the audience score, it's like the worst of my career and stuff. So, and one neither truly tells the story, I guess.
Yeah.
The truth is somewhere in between. But I know it's being watched a lot. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there.
It's exciting. I mean,
All right. Now, heads up for those who haven't seen this. You see this? They see the little. I'm going to call him a wanker because his whole demeanor and attitude with this just elevates how douchey their past statements are coming to fruition. Now, I want you guys to focus on what Bamf says, but look at Kevin and Orko's. So I'm going to call him Orko. His reaction when he talks about this, because this is the first sign I got of like Bamf made it worse.
Well, also, I don't know if you've ever watched HeMan Beyond before, but this is a regular part of what they do. This guy is actually one of the guys that helps to produce the show. He works for Kevin.
Yeah.
Okay, so there isn't anything that this guy says that Kevin hasn't already cleared or whatever. So
I just want to stay in general because I don't think he was necessary for this if they were trying to cover as a serious aspect and trying to address things. He just elevated the people that they're trying to, like the 5% they're mentioning as being all hating towards this shit. He elevated it with nonsensical, in my opinion, nonsensical back talk.
Well, that's what Griffin's been doing. That's really the last 5 minutes what Griffin's been talking about.
Yeah.
This whole thing is about trying to turn themselves from being people who are the from Kevin feeling like he is being targeted to we're all victims. Everyone that worked on this, we're all victims. And it doesn't work for me.
No. And
neither does it for me.
Does you actually have anything to add, or you just go?
You know what? I've watched this version of it, but I've never really watched this show before, so I don't know much about the Banff guy. But I know that Griffin Newman is annoying on this show too, and Kevin Smith seems like he's getting less. He has less and less energy the longer this goes. Like it's draining the life from him just to be in front of people and talking about this. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. And the fear in his face is getting more and more.
Well, because it's just like, again, I keep referring back to what Chris Gore had to say. Kevin really is a little fragile when it comes to people and their criticism. I mean, there's the version of Kevin Smith that we know when we see him in the media. And the quote-unquote real Kevin Smith is not that bold. He's not that confident. He's a little less so. So this is really...
Steve Kenobi says Smith released a DVD where he ripped into Tim Burton's Batman movies back in the day for breaking the lore. The guy is a complete hypocrite. I can agree with that. He also went after George Lucas, if I remember, as well.
Yes, that is true. Hail, Stig.
Hail, Stig. And I want to punch Banff in the face. I understand it's part of the show, but I feel like he did what Teddy did to Kevin. He's using Banff as the punching bag for the,
Is in here, man. He's here on the screen.
Hampton. Oh, hey there.
I just want to put out there that there's 130 other episodes of Masters of the Universe that people can watch if they don't like Year 5. You didn't go and take their DVDs away. I went through this as a big Star Wars fan when Disney erased the expanded universe, and I was like, my Timothy Zahn book is still on the shelf. I can go read it. They didn't come here and take it. So like I'm sure in those 130 episodes there were some episodes that people didn't like and you just don't rewatch them. There's a ton of He-Man out there and that's awesome.
More as well. Like if it's like anything else. Like this is not mine. I didn't create it and stuff. If you don't like this iteration of Masters of the Universe, just wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like another one's coming down the pike. There's literally another show coming. He-Man and the Masters Universe, it's called, and it's CG version of the show. Beautiful as hell. And I think when we're over.
One quick question. Why is that sounding so loud? Six, that man doesn't know how to fix his gain in his mic. He just went, like that's literally what he fucking did. He didn't understand his mic was bullshit.
That show starts. But even just regardless of that, someone else is going to pick this up in the next 5 years and make it theirs and stuff. And they might make it the version that you're hoping for if you really hate the shit out of this. But the people that are loving the shit out of this, they're not wrong. Just like I'm not saying you people who don't like it are wrong. The people that like it aren't wrong either. And fuck, are they loving it, man. I've seen so many moving fucking tweets, lots of tweets of kids like when they were kids in the 80s with their Castle Grayskulls and their figures and stuff like that. People who have been lifelong fans who were just like, this is everything that I ever wanted it to be, and blah, blah, blah. So
a dude posted a photo of his little daughter, like a toddler, standing in front of the screen holding up the sword.
That's awesome.
Rules. I just want to butt in, JC, and just say, don't encourage them to watch the other 140 episodes because we don't get residuals off of that. So we can.
That was another Orko, JC.
But watch these 5 like multiple times.
By all reports, that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's. Look, I mean, I a couple of times have foolishly waded in and poked the bear a little bit and just said like, what is your problem with this on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
see, I don't even do that.
I know I shouldn't. Once again, my therapist is retired. Like it's not my fault.
I poked the bear.
It's hard to find a new one. But I'm not poking confrontation. I'm really trying to like figure like what's your problem with this? Because I'm like I am a genuine fan. I almost said real fan after going on my who is a real fan, right? But I'm a genuine fan of this stuff. And I'll sort of say like I think this and that, whatever. And they go, well, of course, you're paid to defend it. And I go, no, I'm paid to say the words. And then they can't tell me what the fuck to say after that, right? They're not sending me on this press tour. I'm not Mark Hamill. I'm not going to get the views up. You're asking me to do this because I was local, right? It was cheaper to bring me over here. But the point is, it's true. It's true. It's
But
true.
also, more importantly than that, I had such a blast on the George Lucas talk show.
Well, yes, it was
Like, I'm not even shit. I'm not blowing it off because it's here. It was absolutely one of my favorite things I did last year.
You were
I
great
talked
on the
about
show.
it. It was so fucking fun. Who's the other? Who plays George Lucas?
Connor Ratliff, who for my money is the funniest person in New York City, and he's been doing this for
fantastic.
years. He interviews real celebrities as George Lucas, in character as George Lucas, and I'm sort of his Ed McMahon as Watto.
So he dresses like Watto.
I got the
on
whole
show.
thing. Yeah. And Kevin was on. He was amazing. If you want to look for it on YouTube, it's up there. But I you know what I want to say to these people is like, I've been in stuff that fucking sucks, right? Like most of my career is garbage, is diarrhea, right? Trying to pay the
And
rent.
that's why we made a Morco.
Yeah. No, but the point is, like, when I'm in a thing that sucks, I just don't say anything. You know, I'm not going out there.
How do you explain half of this podcast?
This, you know, and even doubly so because I was a fan of this beforehand. If I fought this hard to get the part of Orko, I had this fear, like, oh my God, I want this so badly. And then I go, wait a second, what if these suck? Like, what if these scripts are garbage and I'm the guy who made Orko a loser, right? And I read them and I went, I love these. I don't know what people are going to think of them, but for me as a fan, this is like the thing I've always wanted to see. And so I'm out there defending it genuinely. You can believe that or not, but I will just say, I've said shit I shouldn't have said before about things I were involved in. I'm not known for being a very strategic person in that sense,
shit.
To the detriment of my own career. But this is a thing I genuinely love, and I watched it last night. You know, I finally got to see the whole thing, and it's God, this is like in my mind's eye the show I've always wanted to see, and it's exciting. I know everything that's gonna happen. I'm still excited.
When you,
all right, I gotta stop quickly before we go again. When he says he watched it last night, do you think he was not wearing pants? He had a box of tissues on one side and a bucket of lube on the other. He's like, "Oh my God, I did Orko so well." You know the whole thing comment from
Maybe
yesterday, right? It was like he presses the O on his chest when he's about to come. Yeah, pretty much.
I think that he was just eating some ice cream and crying his career away because he's just like, you know, where has he been besides this and being Arthur in the tick for Amazon? I mean,
see, yeah, I can agree with that. The other thing, I'll get to Stieg in 1 second, but the one thing right here he just said is like, this comes back to what Nerdronic Gary has said before. Hollywood is nothing but professional pretenders, right? I believe that's the correct statement.
Mm-hmm.
Griffin Newman is the exact thing you would find in the Webster's dictionary of that statement, because we're seeing Griffin Newman as he is, but when he plays Orko, that's not Griffin Newman.
No.
So he can professionally pretend to someone, a character with a great emotion and a great attachment you can involve yourself with. But as a human being, I assume he's empty, or he's very selfish, as Steve says right here. Basically, what he's saying is me.
Well, yeah. He's somebody who, as an actor, isn't that well known, and as a podcaster, he's really not that well known. I mean, Kevin's doing him a favor by having him on this show, but Kevin needs the emotional support, you know, because his ego just took a massive hit with all of this negativity towards this project, and such that he and Griffin have to construct this story, not only do damage control, but try to reposition themselves as victims of this, instead of just saying, hey, we have this awesome product, we really believe in it, and we think you should watch it. That really should be the extent of what they're talking about.
No, but they told us to go watch the other HeMan episodes.
Yeah, but instead, we're getting a majority of this is, you know, those people discussions, you know.
Yes.
And we're getting the, hey, anybody that's watching it, I'm just like you. They're after all of us.
Oh, shit. Know. Okay. All right. Now, Zach, can I share that you just sent me? Zach, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you just sent me this tweet, and this is Kevin Smith, and he posted this on the 23rd of July, 1916. And what he did is he quote tweeted another person who had a childhood picture of himself as a kid, not Kevin, but as this tweeter, beside the original Castle Grayskull toy. It goes like this: when folks post childhood hood pics with their Masters official toys, it's a reminder of exactly who we made Revelation for. Our series exists somewhere between your memories of the show and the hours of imagination you spent with your Mattel toys. The power returns today on Netflix. So you're saying it's for fans that grew up on it?
Well, I think the reason I sent you that is because I noticed that at the time, and the guy he chose to feature
Dan
in
Brooks.
the retweet, yeah, Dan Brooks. He works for Lucasfilm. He runs the StarWars.com site, and he has a Netflix podcast. So he's not a folks.
So he just retweeted and used that as a reason of another Netflix employee? So he just said it's for other Netflix staff. I'm confused on that.
Well, technically speaking, yeah, right. I mean, he did this for Ted Biaselli. There is an interview. I think that that it is there on the Nicked Netflix thing or something like that, Geeked, whatever it is called. And he's saying that he was not afraid of taking any steps because he knew that he had Ted Biaselli there. So, and he said, we did this for Ted because Ted was the voice of the fans. But Ted is not the regular fan, the average fan that grew up with this, that has a mortgage and children and responsibilities. Ted is different. We have already spoken about this. He's an activist first and foremost. So he's not even the regular guy that you find, while you're going shopping or something.
Well, I'm going to get that first so people can actually read this. Thank you for sharing that, Zach. I didn't even realize that. So I don't know if I cut off your point, but this is the tweet that I was sent, and this is Dan Brooks. This is the one that Kevin Smith was quote tweeting. You want to go into depth why this is specific? Because I'm not always going to catch everything on the first glance. Again, dyslexia with my head. You want to take it, Elizabeth?
Yeah, sure. So what I noticed is he was trying to show that he's a man of the people, and these are average people who love this show, and it celebrates their childhood. But the person he chose to actually feature in the tweet is a guy that works for Lucasfilm, is probably a shill, and has a Netflix podcast. Like, he's not just a random fan, quote unquote.
Oh, goddamn. And what Tickletrunk is just saying, the guy who runs StarWars.com let them put up the Star Trek Socialist. Is that the one that was trying to say everything's communism and the Federation? Is that the same jackass? Excuse me, sorry, same personality? I don't mean to be too derogatory, but what the fuck? So he's not even picking real people. So in other words, he probably asked someone who goes, who was a He-Man fan within the company, as a company email, and then just used, because most people don't do a lot of background research with the people involved, like Data Racer. Look, he's being followed by Data Racer. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But that makes a good point. So even then, they can't even retweet real people. So who are all the real people if they have to use shills that are like coming out of Lucasfilm and actually have a Netflix podcast? You're making a good point. Then he doesn't even know who the real people are.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And again, Kevin really does live in this very sheltered version of fandom. I mean, he truly is, for all intents and purposes, he's cut off, is what he is. And I'm hoping that somebody like, I don't know, Chris Gore can get to him and say, hey, man, you're living in a kind of dream world. And I don't even think that'll help too much because, again, he's under the sway of Ted. Until we understand exactly the kind of business arrangement Kevin has with Ted and Netflix, this is going to go on a little while longer, So, and I can see Ted doing the ultimate troll and going ahead and giving this show a second season because.
Well, yeah, just to spite those that didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's a possibility, and I also think that it shows how not only how disenfranchised, but also how preachy Hollywood has become. Because they are just all about, shut up, we know what's best for you, and we're
Mhm.
giving it to you. You don't know that you will like it, but you will. And that sort of attitude is the one that many are just trying to turn against, because nobody feels okay being told what to do, how to feel, what to like,
Mhm.
and that they are doing this all the time with every single project that they turn out. Of course, some fans and the regular people are going to say, no, we don't want this. And I think that we are also seeing this with different franchises from different IPs. And in this case, the problem is bigger because someone that was supposedly one of the fandom, one with the fans, like Kevin Smith, is now turning on them, by doing this sort of thing, false advertising, and also trying to excuse and deflect every and all criticism with this podcast, just trying to say me, just like Griffin Newman as well, and saying how great they are without really looking into why there's criticism.
Mhm. And yeah, you guys are making great points. Eat your plate of shit and enjoy it, pleb. We're a polar bear. We're a polar bear. You got a fucking foul mouth, motherfucker. And Will Gentry, good to see you, sir. I'm still waiting for your love poem before we go on that first date. And with that, sorry, my bad. Zach's. Sorry, I want your Twitter handle.
I don't care. It's all good.
All right, good, because I thought my foot just went all the way down my throat.
No worries, man.
All right, cool. Do you have anything to add before we continue? If not, it's cool.
I think one of the things that you talked about yesterday I wanted to bring up was his attitude about he talked to Netflix and those guys are okay with it, and the people who write his checks don't care if the fans like it or not. And I think he's really, really effed up in that he's making Clerks 3 right now, and Netflix, of course, doesn't care. But we're mad at him. We're not mad at Netflix. So his future projects, he is putting in harm's way with this attitude.
Yeah. You make a great point. We can relate it to the whole the Disney toxin. Disney owns a lot of property, especially Marvel and the like, right? So now, I hate bringing this up over again. This is going to be lightly basically used. If we're going the pretense at the beginning of this year with the Gina Carano incident and how everything happened and how we had Hidalgo and all his actions over the recent years and then the Pedro, and we add all that up, it made Disney look bad. The way they always were like protecting their authors, even though they were being this and that. I'm not going to use labels right now. It has a downward trickle effect of infection. So now when we hear about a new Marvel movie, we're not hearing Marvel, we're hearing Disney. And the Disney toxin has infected not all of their properties, whether it be a streaming service, a film, a reopening their vault. You're saying it's the same type of thing now. He is now tarnished because of his actions, and it won't leave. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Netflix doesn't care because this won't hurt Netflix. They're right. This is probably good for their show and good for them, but not good for him, and he's completely missed that.
He's forgotten what it's like.
I think that Zach's made a very good point.
Yeah.
This is going to explode on his face when Clerks 3 comes out.
Phrasing.
And every single time that he gives an update on what's going to happen with Clerks 3 is of course going to cause certain reaction from the people. This also means that in a certain way he's no longer occupied with Masters of the Universe. But what?
Sorry, somebody better reach around. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm not open for a reach around.
No.
It was at this point Fat Steven unzipped his pants.
Wow.
Well, I think, I was saying that he's moving on with Clerks 3, of course, means that he's no longer attached to the Masters of the Universe project, like involved in doing something. It means that the show is done. They don't have yet a premiere date for part 2, but I'm sure that they're not going to do anything like any rewrites, editions, or anything like that. It's just going to be as it is. And he's confident that that's it, it's done, and then he can move on with Clerks 3 until he gets called once again by Netflix or something.
Tickle Trunk for some reason has a major crush on you today. Like when he was like saying love to Keith during Babylon 5. He said, "Did you used to say Muffins? Can we get? Is there some like inside joke I'm unaware of? Like, are you guys like ex-girlfriends and boyfriends and shit or something? Am I missing something here?
He's my secret lover, I suppose.
So he's your prison pen pal. Okay, I got it now. All right, cool. Yeah, you make a good point too, Viking. And Steve Mitchum, I see you. Thank you for dropping by and supporting this stream. Let's watch more of this soy-based latte.
Dive, did you get emotional?
Yeah. And I'll say this. I mean, this is what I love about animation. Every time I've been in something on camera, I'm watching it. I'm not getting emotional. Does my nose really look like that? You know? But this, I'm like, man, Orko's a good actor. Look at his eyes here. And I'm like, yeah, I can't take any credit for that. I'm not distracted. And it's just the writing. It really is. It's the writing and the animation. You know, I'm plugging my ears and not listening to what I'm saying. But like, it really does. It hits for me. I was watching it, knowing everything that was going to happen. He played for me as it should, you know? And then the weird magic of it, like, watching them, oh my God, this evil Lynn Orko dynamic is so cool. And I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm that guy because it's 1,000 other people have touched it along the way, have drawn it, and she's done her dialogue, and all of you have taken your pass on every line and all this sort of stuff.
All the powerhouse animation kids in Austin loved you, A, because your performance is wonderful, but B, because Orko has no mouth.
Well, yeah.
There's no sync necessary.
Right. You brought me in for some last minute redubs because you're like, this is the one character we can add new dialogue for and it doesn't cost us a goddamn cent. You gotta change his lips.
Yeah. Normally when you if you're far along in the process and you're like, wait, we want to change something, it's like fucking turning a ship because you've got to go reanimate that sequence so the lip flap syncs up and stuff. So there were a few times we did that. There's a line in episode 10 from Man at Arms that we changed only like 4 weeks ago and had to match up what we were doing because they were locked, so we couldn't like just have them reanimate that piece. So episode 4, when they go to Subternia, it used to open with them walking around and it was quiet and it was just atmospheric and stuff like that. I'm used to people telling me like, take out the dialogue. There's too much dialogue. So I didn't put any dialogue in. And then the Netflix note we got back after we saw the first.
He's trying to bore us.
Was like, let's give some let's put some dialogue in this section. So, the powerhouse kids were like, oh my God, we're going to have to reanimate and stuff. And I was like, well, I can write it for Orko. And if Orko does it, there's no lip flap. And they're like, thank you. So the poem that he said, the Trollin Nursery.
Right.
I think one of the last things you did.
Yeah. Can I let me say something to compliment you. When we went in for the first recording, it was a marathon we were doing, first pass, at least the first 4 episodes, I think, all at once. And there was the spell at the beginning of the first episode where he puts Cringer in the bubble. And you went like, the spells are, we should have written more spells. And this man came up with like 5 spells off the dome, and those things have to rhyme.
I know, but they're real simple baby
I don't know. I'm easily impressed.
It's not like I was Eminem in the room.
I can't spit
fucking
bars.
fire and shit.
I was impressed.
I was like, bubble, trouble. Yeah. There you go. I can fill in the blanks.
I mean, my mediocre impression of you is you go, okay, kids, pencils out. Every time you had a new line, you go, pencils out.
Well, we were trying to beat the line when we were recording. This is your last bite at the apple, right? Yeah. And like, scripts are great, but you're like, oh, like that line worked.
Right. We've now reached the point where we started at the beginning of the stream where it's gone back to self-circle jerk. And they're not giving any content. They're just jamming. It's like Dragon Ball Z. Remember we're getting the filler parts where they're like powering up for 20 minutes. You're like, just fucking fight already. This is what we're getting right now.
Yeah.
And Tila and the King are the worst written characters. Yes, the 2 best characters in this series, 2 and 3, is Evil Lynn, Orko, and Cringer. Cringer is fantastic, especially when he's giving Tila the smackdown on an emotional level. Orko for finally realizing that he's more than just a wizard without a wand. And Evil Lynn because of the connection that even though I serve Skeletor, I can still have some type of common-based relationship with another person on the opposite side that I've always been fighting for however many episodes or however many fucking comic books. And that is the only good thing I could find in this series. And that's why I watched the 5 episodes continued, because their interactions were something that they were finally grasping the concept of how anime does things so well, and they couldn't see it, and it was right in front of them.
I agree
And
with
that,
Mr. Trickletrunk, and I think that you are saying something that is really on point. They had some development for these characters like Orko and Cringer, that speech that he gives to Tila.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is even more painful to see that they didn't like Orko and they wanted to kill him because they wanted to get at the fans. Like, hey, you like this character? Well, we're going to kill him.
but they did that to
It's
Prince Adam and He-Man twice. If we're going to look at it from assumption with
yeah,
the 5th episode, not only do they kill He-Man and Prince Adam in the first episode, technically, if He-Man does die in the 5th episode, that is even Prince Adam and He-Man dying again, and he doesn't get an afterlife. So not only do they lay the smackdown on that, they lay the smackdown that he will have no eternal fucking peace, which is mind-boggling.
yeah, yeah,
Because
and
even if he does survive, think about it. He can never have an afterlife in Preternium, ever. They've
yeah.
already written him to have a desolate afterlife, if there's even an afterlife. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, it's poor writing. I mean, the show really is poor writing, and I disagree with Evelyn having this character development so much because she also acts against character in that she's always complaining about Skeletor. So she's playing this feminist that is like, oh, I am hindered in my progress and like exploring my potential because of this man. So it's like, come on. But I also
understand that. I understand that. I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's poorly written also from the very beginning. And that first episode was written by Kevin Smith, where you also see the sorceress, who is the most powerful individual with magic there, and getting fooled by a freaking robot that is Faker. I mean, come on. She didn't sense that it was not He-Man. I mean, she has a connection, a telepathic connection with He-Man. And she couldn't even read that fucker's mind to see that it was not He-Man that was there with her. I mean, from the very beginning, we're having poor writing,
Yeah.
and it's okay. You can have problems with writing. That's fine. There's no movie that is perfect or a show that is perfect. But trying to circle around the same thing and saying, we are so good, we are so great, they are attacking us. That's just tiring and boring. And it's also talking about the very low self-esteem that they have and the little confidence that they have in what they are doing with this show.
Yeah. And at the same time, Sarah Michelle Gellar, you can hear it. It was not Tila. It was watching Buffy Summers playing Tila. The same thing with Mark
Yeah.
Hamill. It felt like the application of the voice to the character was not given like it was with the Joker. And it was the Joker cosplaying as Skeletor. It was literally watching people who were doing favors over applying, like I said, this history, applying themselves to the role. And if you're supposed to be a professional actor, whether it's a voice or in real life, the application is supposed to stay the same. You could have just told Kevin or Netflix to fuck off, but that paycheck must have been something fantastic for you to suck up that favor and do minimal effort. And that looks bad on everyone.
Yeah, but
no
who
one
can
called
blame?
them out. No one called them out on it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Totally agree. But who can blame Sarah Michelle Gellar? I mean, she has to live with Freddie Prinze Jr.
She didn't even want to do the show either, right? But like that's it though. Like,
yeah,
there's so many little like loose ends that all tie into not even a web. But you know how hard it is to take out a knot. Everyone knows they've had like a knot, right? It's like one of those fucked up knots, especially when you're trying to get your headphones back in the day. You're like, that's what this is. That's what this is. But instead of trying to pull and get like something loose, they're just letting it sit there, so it eventually gets hard, stuck in its mold, and it sucks watching the emotional value of something that has enough standing. I don't know how people, especially Hollywood, I understand it's Hollywood, can go through life heartless.
I think that what Viking is right in that the storytelling is so bad because watching this, you understand that they want you to like Tila, but they make her so unlikable. It's impossible for you to sympathize for her at all. And I think that they could have done something simple, but they can't. They could not have her struggle or fail. So they could have. It was her first day on the job when the prince gets killed. So they fire her. And so we're like, oh, it wasn't her fault. She says, I didn't know he was He-Man. And they say, well, it's your job to know, right?
Mm.
Something like that. And then she becomes a mercenary because she has nothing else she can do now. That's, to me, I'm not a writer, but that's a better way to start that story.
Yeah. At the same time, Chico makes good points. Why would you make a hero unlikable? That's it.
Yeah,
totally.
It's falling back to how these guys, when Steeg said me, Tila's definitely me. My fee are fucking hurt. And am I wrong? It took a cat who was the biggest coward throughout the He-Man universe to tell her to smarten the fuck up.
Yeah.
A reluctant tiger who refuses and is terrified. Like, we even get to see it in the first episode where Orko literally almost suffocates him in a pink bubble, for fuck's sakes. And then you got the biggest coward, the cowardly lion, let's just put it that way. The cowardly lion literally telling Dorothy, shut the fuck up and just do something already. Stop your fucking bitching.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is evidence also of this poor writing, because you are elevating some characters at the expense of other characters as well. And you are elevating some characters and some others are not progressing. Like people say, and I have seen this like constantly in defense of the show, we see a deeper understanding of the characters. They are deeper characters and we see them progressing. Tila doesn't fucking progress from the beginning of the show to the end because she's still embittered and angry that nobody told her the secret. So she quits because she was not told at the beginning. And then when she meets Adam once again in Preeternia, she's still mad at him because she didn't know. And she even says, well, sorry that you died, Adam, but what about me? You don't know what that did to me. So what progress do you have there? It's poor writing. And we are criticizing that.
It is poor writing.
It is poor
writing.
writing.
It's the worst kind of poor writing.
It's yes man writing.
Yeah. Totally. And we're criticizing that. We're not criticizing if Kevin Smith is a good person or not, or if Griffin Newman is a good person or not. We're criticizing that work they were involved in. We're not criticizing them. We're criticizing the work, the final result of what they were doing all this time.
You're exactly right, and I'm glad you were actually bringing that up, because that's the thing that we were talking about this yesterday, Viking. I think before we ended the show, it's so hard to criticize anything now because either the creators or anyone will take it as a personal attack, like we're attacking their humanity. I'm like, well, then if you think we're attacking yourself as a human or your humanity, then maybe you have put too much of your ego or self inserted or your own insecurity into that character, where you feel like, in a way, you've made that your representation of yourself. Why are you doing that? Isn't that selfish in a way? Just right.
It is very much selfish, but again, it is Kevin. Look, Kevin's the showrunner. Kevin was the head guy. He should have known better. But I think Ted paid him quite a bit of money
to wear his hat backwards
and other things. I think one of the writers for this is also someone who Kevin worked with, I think, on Supergirl. And then you also have Mark Bernardin, who is his normal co-host, doing HeMan Beyond. Yeah. And so I think that's all of the quote-unquote experienced people amongst that group. Everybody else is someone who, like Viking was saying, was probably somebody with not too many credits versus... And they keep bringing it up, versus the original writers for the original He-Man and the Masters of the Universe animated series.
Yeah.
One of whom was J. Michael Straczynski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should have tagged him again. I would love to talk to him. But, they're doing... I got a question, because I don't know how many of you have actually watched the Netflix She-Ra. I refuse to watch it. But are they going along the same road with that She-Ra, or is this not as bad?
It's a different contract. Okay, first of all,
different kind of fuck up.
It is a different company. It's it's DreamWorks Animation, and that means it's a whole different thing. Netflix has a different deal on that end.
Yeah.
to me, I think you're closer to being right, though, Stephen. I mean, I think Ted's involved with all of those shows. I think he's in one way or another is involved with all those shows.
Because we used to have discussions, Keith, like we were thinking maybe we had to do with his wife and his daughter affecting Kevin's views. And now it seems like maybe we were just, that was too much of an assumption to base it on. And if Ted is actually trying to put some type of activism in everything, then the show was going to burn out before it was even announced.
Yeah, it's all Ted's view. Again, the reason why Ted was able to get away with so much on this project, I think, has also something to do with the fact that Ted probably went out of his way to find someone who wasn't as familiar with He-Man.
Yeah.
That part of it was done on purpose.
But they also had Rob David, who is very knowledgeable in with all that is related to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, but his company though is the one that's losing the rights soon.
Beg to differ. I've been given some information, but this isn't about losing rights. This might be more. They're going to make this just a renewal of shared rights. There might not even be any losing of rights, and this whole pretense that they're just trying to shoot this shit out might be a whole false negative in general. But until I get validation, we should keep that. Not they're doing this because they want to make money because of losing rights. That it's just going to be a norm of renewal. So until we get further knowledge, even Tom has said this, we don't know for sure. And I hate contradicting you, Keith, but
no. You're right. You are right, because I remember Tom saying the same thing. Until we know for certain, yes, I should not have said that. See now, notice I apologize, Kevin.
No. I don't want you fucking apologizing. No. We make mistakes. We're human, right? That we own our mistakes. Fuck that apologizing shit. It didn't hurt anybody. Fuck that shit. That's the worst thing I've learned from my parents. That's the best thing I've learned from my parents. If you say sorry too fucking much, you take the whole meaning out of sorry. It's the same thing when you're using the word Yahtzee too much, or the whole this, that, or that, the accusation too much. Taking the fucking when someone called you like a racist, you just to fucking make you second guess your whole life and how you've been acting, especially like when you're going to Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, especially. That's all shit talk thing. It's the same thing. Don't apologize for it. You didn't hurt my feelings. We just try to make sure that we understand both sides of a coin, because this coin is constantly spinning. What?
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, Tickle Trunk, do you want to just make out and get it over with? What the fuck, man? But honestly, what I want someone to do is take the first episode or one of the episodes from those 5 and redub it with classic He-Man voiceovers and see if they can make a better fucking show. Because I bet you can find all the lines out of all those episodes and make it sound and feel better. Supposedly Zach says get over here. So she's replaying Mortal Kombat right now.
I'm on my way.
Dun, 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 dun. Ooh, tongue. But go ahead. Anyone else have anything to add before we press play on this nightmare? Because he looks like he's holding in a fart for the last 10 minutes.
He really does. Pull my finger.
No, I'm not pulling his finger. He'll probably all of a sudden all he hears Jason Moose going, "Goodbye, horses." All right, then we'll get back into this.
Okay, what if we did this? So you're like, hey man, let's throw that out. Try this. And then sometimes you hear a line, you're just like, that didn't work. It's not because of the actor, just the line kind of lays there and stuff. So at that moment, we'd be like, all right, kids, pencils out. Let's beat this line.
Pencils out. No, but yes, as an actor with on camera stuff, the worst part of the job, I would argue, even ahead of waking up early, is ADR.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to fix dialogue, but it's the image, it's done, and then
you have to sync it to a picture. They play it on a picture in front of you, and you have to say it along with the old version of yourself and try to make it sync.
And sometimes it's like, oh, there was a car passing by, we missed that word. You're watching your face. Like, why am I pronouncing that weird and trying to match it so it sounds natural and not like a poorly dubbed martial arts movie or whatever. But the other part of it is sometimes they're going like, we didn't get this line, we got to fit it in here. You go fit it in where? There's not. I'm on screen for 2 seconds. I'm clearly saying a different word. I'm saying fuck. You want me to say thank you? It's not going to work. And with Orko, it's like his eyes are looking to the left. So can you just say it like his eyes are looking to the left? It's like, yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. That's an easy directional performance where you're like, that's all.
You just got the scarf. Yeah.
It was magical work, sir. And
Such a pleasure.
again, like I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I suspect Griffin will be back when we put up the next 5, because we'll have some things to talk about at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, that was a fuck ton of content, kids. Give it up for Griffin Newman.
I will not, but anyone else hoping that Hagrid pops in going, Orko, you're a wizard. You're a wizard, Orko. Fuck this shit.
Be an improvement.
Look how smuggy is like now. Yeah, everyone's going to clap for me. No, they aren't.
They've done nothing but suck each other off this entire time.
I really don't want to have that mental image. I really, really don't. Here we go. Here's your poster of the shit I fucked up.
Hold the bottom.
Oh yes.
No,
yes.
bottom.
The bottom. There we go.
Yeah,
Everybody leaves here tonight gonna walk away with one of these amazing posters, man. This is the final poster for the show. It's got a fuck ton of characters, all of which show up in our show. So when you guys head out tonight, they'll give you one of those all rolled up to take with you. The artist.
Before Kevin Smith starts talking about how small his dick is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Before he starts jerking off Griffin again, I've had a beer or two. Don't mind me. But Keith has to go. But Keith, do you have anything quickly to add before we go that I have tried not to white cut off you yet?
No, I mean, look, again, great time. Another great job hosting, big man. Again, I still disappointed in this entire situation with Kevin. But you know what? That's just the way it is for right now. You know, it's the way it spins. I really don't hate Kevin Smith. I just wish that the version of Kevin Smith that I thought I was watching, that person would eventually come back and you know, make things right. I'm not going to hold my breath, but you know. So that's where I'm at. Outside of that, to everybody that enjoys watching this show, the Netflix show, have a good time with it. You know, enjoy it. To everyone that doesn't, you know, hey, you know, something else is going to come down the pike and take your attention and excite you. And, you know, I look at it this way. There is a universe of possibilities opening up within the next few months. Things are going to be changing for a lot of IP that has been struggling or that people have not liked. Okay? The Star Wars IP is going to go through some changes. The recent announcement with Doctor Who, that's another good thing, possibly. So, you know, and of course the obvious changes coming to Warner Brothers. So everything comes back around. You know, the wheel keeps turning, and the opportunity for those of us that really enjoy these particular IPs, you know, we'll have a chance of doing that again. Okay.
Hold on a second. Keith, before you go, the show's not over, guys. It's like, you're all like, this has been a great stream. Black guy's leaving. I'm fucking out.
If only I had that kind of power.
Yeah. He might have the biggest dick on the panel, but it doesn't mean the show is in. Fucking hell. Sorry, I had to clear that up. I also want to give you a big dick compliment. So I hope you like that.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I
haven't seen it, but I'll definitely take it.
There'll be a little something extra for you at the check at the end of the week.
Oh, good. It'll be a magnet and a dick pic. That and a lot of people say the same things. They don't hate Kevin. They're just disappointed in how things turned up. That's fucking valid. There's too much energy to waste hating something when you're literally just disappointed. Disappointed hurts a lot more than hating. Hating is just like, oh, you're just a hater. Disappointment is literally a knife that can affect people in a lot of ways, especially their insecurities. Because you hear it from your parents. And when someone else says it, it kind of triggers that same type of self-consciousness.
Again, I if you were here for the beginning of the show and what I said about my anniversary and the people that I credit for getting me interested in doing this, Kevin Smith's one of those people.
Yeah.
I just, yeah, I'm just a little disappointed. That's all. And if anything, it's at least taught me that to just understand that different people go through different things, and that we're not always aware of the struggles behind the scenes for the people that are creatives within the industry. Hollywood's a tough place, so well, I mean, I just I wish things had gone a little bit differently, and it seems like it hasn't, and that's fine, but I don't know. I just wish, what? I wish Kevin had picked up the phone and called Paul Dini.
Oh.
That's who I wish he had contacted. Paul Dini is one of the creative minds behind Batman the Animated Series, okay?
Yeah.
He's also one of the writers of the original HeMan and the Masters of the Universe. He used to work.
Too.
He worked on that series along with J. Michael Straczynski. And Kevin knows him. Paul Dini was either the first or second guest he ever had on Fat Man on Batman. So I wish he had contacted Paul Dini, because the stuff that he's saying about the show, Paul Dini probably sitting there going, what's going on, man?
He was stuck upside the head.
Yeah. Hey, Keith, can I ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he have done that? Is there a reason he wouldn't have reached out?
That's a good question. That really is a good question, because that's what I would ask him. I'm not trying to be, if I were to see him in person, I would tell him, look, I'm not trying to be that guy, Kevin. It's just that you've been the kind of guy that's gone out and tried to live your passions and show people, how being a geek is great, and you've used that to interview and talk to people that you've always wanted to talk to or never worked with but always wanted to meet, all this stuff. And Fat Man and Batman was one of those shows that to this day I still enjoy, especially everyone he had in season 1 of that show. Every interview he had was mind-blowing cool.
Yeah.
Okay? And Paul Dini gave a lot of really cool information. I think he was the first guest he had that warranted a part 1, part 2 of the show. And I didn't realize Paul Dini was as old as he was. I didn't realize he had been around that long, that he had not only worked on He-Man, but he had worked on Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. He was a writer on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
the guy has been around. And so why wouldn't you call him? You've had him to your house. He drew a picture from when his daughter was born. Paul Dini had a picture of Harley Quinn that he gave to Kevin. It's hanging in his. So why wouldn't you? So why are you talking stuff the way you're talking about the original show the way that you are?
Yeah.
The other thing you can have with that, like, look, Kevin runs the whole fucking comic book, man, right? He's had numerous upon numerous, not only collectors, fans, people trying to sell items. Why has he not even gone through that fucking catalog, including Walt and everyone in this fucking cast, and going, hey, any pointers? Because they're on the show, but they're not Hollywood. Why did he not tap that either?
Unless Ted told him not to. Unless Ted told him.
Yeah, that's where the thing is. We will never know the answers, but at the same time, I'm disappointed, Kevin, but I also feel sorry that he is our punching bag. And I think he understands that's where the security comes in his face. He realizes that shit, I'm on the fucking cutting board. And the thing is, he's stuck now between a paycheck, corporate politics, and the Kevin Smith mortality factor. And he doesn't know where to go. And he is using Banff and Newman in the same way.
Yeah.
I don't think Newman in his own self, he I didn't even know he had a podcast. I don't fucking care. But it's just,
I'm not going to check it out. I find it to be a little bit.
I need a diarrhea. Somebody listening to go poop faster. That's about it.
Yeah. I from here on out, I will look at Kevin as an example of how to lose yourself a little bit. I've lost a little bit of respect for him. And I know there are some people out there that have never been Kevin Smith fans who are probably sitting there going, you see, I was right. And that's fine. But you got to understand my point of view. I really did like him. You know, I still do to a certain extent, but not as much as I did before. I'm just really disappointed. Is more than anything else. I'm just disappointed. That's all.
And you know what happens, for example, in my case, if I feel disappointed in someone, like in this case with Kevin Smith, I tend to, if it's something really huge like this, in these cases, I tend to just become indifferent to whatever they do moving forward. So how many people will feel like that and will say, you know, he's releasing Clerks 3. I don't care. He disappointed me. I'll move on. And I just won't pay attention to anything that he produces anymore, you know? I mean, how many people will do something like that, right?
Well, on the grand scheme of things, I could see if he was actually out there doing the kind of damage and doing all the stuff that Alex Kurtzman's doing. Alex Kurtzman is someone who has basically gone above and beyond what you should do in this kind of instance, because he purposefully misrepresented what he was doing. He and the writers that he's hired and fired, but the writers that he's hired have gone out of their way to basically do for the last 5 years everything we just saw Newman and Smith do right here on this show, which is find a way of turning themselves into victims and then blaming the people that don't like what they're doing.
See, they had a perfect opportunity to take the template from fucking Invincible and apply it to He-Man. They had an actual template there. They could have looked at Invincible and adapted it. Now, I'm not talking story wise, but I'm talking delivery wise, and done a He-Man. They had it there. Invincible nailed it. Yeah, a lot of people went after Invincible saying it was completely fucking woke. It wasn't. I enjoyed every episode of it. It had the right amount of blood, superhero. It had everything.
Well, that just raises the bar on Invincible. It makes it that much better. You know, Robert Kirkman, in my opinion, you know, is continuing to rise in my eyes. Not that I ever considered him to be that low, but you can see why he's so wealthy. You can see why he's been so successful, and you can see why that there's a distinct possibility that he could be running DC Comics in the next couple of months.
But he has something with the Image, right? That is like somehow exclusive or something like that?
No. What it is that Warner Brothers, under the people that are currently running things, they're thinking of, you know, they don't see any reason to be publishing comic books anymore. And so they are considering selling the rights to publish DC Comics.
What the fuck?
Now, notice how I put that. They're not
selling the rights to publish. They're not selling
DC Comics, and they're keeping the rights to all of the characters. But what they're doing is they're selling the rights to do it, meaning that somebody could come along and just start publishing DC Comics.
Yeah, it's like what Disney did, right? Like what Disney did when publishing their cartoons for Mickey Mouse and all those guys.
Kinda. Although Disney, I hear, has been considering the same thing. And originally they were looking at getting IDW to take over.
Oh, fuck IDW. IDW is more of a variant cover fucking gallery than a fucking comic.
Yeah, well, IDW, from what I heard, had a lot of problems behind the scenes. And the 11th hour before Disney made that deal, Disney backed out because Disney was wanting them to move into the Marvel headquarters there.
Oh, fuck that. But
they changed their minds at the 11th hour.
What's fucked up, Keith, is like we cover This Week in Comics and Comic Book Roundtable, right? And we did, this was a couple weeks back. We put up a Boba Fett comic, the Bounty Hunter comic, or Tales of the Bounty Hunters, right? And that comic had 32 pages. Or I think it was 24 pages and 32 variant covers.
Damn. You know,
fucking hell. You mean you can't make a choice on a proper cover that you have to release all the covers just to charge a little bit more? That means they have no faith in even their own artwork, and it shows.
Hey, look, when you get Daniel Kibblesmith
don't say
the opportunity to work on Blade comic book, you know that you look. all you Marvel fans out there, Marvel comic book fans, look, as a DC fan, I know I have taken my share of, but you know what? That right there is a sign of the apocalypse and the end of Marvel Comics. Because you cannot tell me that you guys are doing anything right over there either. I mean, both companies are being run right into the ground. And the only thing that you can say that has even a hint of positivity, if you are a fan of comics, is the fact that Robert Kirkman could be taking over DC and run that the right way. Just think of what he could do running DC Comics.
He's able to put the subliminal stuff in that is, but like that explains the characters, whatever gender, the sex, who they fuck, whether it's a toaster, whatever. But he was able to give us what heroes are, what they're. He can bring to life what inspires people who read the shit to want to do more.
Mm-hmm. But and also, he would have the ability to hire whoever he wants to write whatever they want. You know, we're going to get an actual comic book company run by comic book people.
That would be awesome.
DC Comics is just waiting. They're waiting right now. And so if now at the very least, the people that are still in charge might just decide to shut everything down. But David Zaslav is coming. You know, he's going to fix a lot of this. Now, let me at least state this about David Zaslav, okay? The reason why I think he's the cure is because of his attitude towards business, which is we are in the business of making money, first and foremost. And a lot of what's been going on at this company hasn't been about that, which is true.
Is he the guy from Discovery?
Yeah, he's the guy that's going to be running this brand new version of the company that's going to be called WMD, basically Warner Media Discovery. And but I will say this, he's not perfect. He is a guy who he either likes you or he doesn't. There's no in between with this dude. And that's the reason why so many people like Toby, when he found out what was going down, well, he started looking at Netflix or other places to get a job because he knew that he was going to be on the outs with this guy. Okay.
Hold on. Bruce Lombardo says, IDW publishes my favorite comic of all time, Walter Simonson's Ragnarok. And it is the finest comic I have ever read. Bruce, I'm going to have to pick that up because I haven't picked up a comic book in God knows how long. And Fortnite DC is the last time I read.
Walt Simonson is one of the greats in comics. Okay. Yeah. All I know is IDW, Disney wanted them to take over, to not only continue to publish IDW comics, but to also publish Marvel comics. They wanted them to take over all of that. And that could still happen, but with someone else. I heard that IDW was the company they were focusing on, and at the 11th hour, before they could make everything happen, they changed their minds.
I have a question out of this quickly. Has anyone woke up Heather Antos yet? For those that get the joke, understand what I'm saying, because she's been caught sleeping at her desk the whole fucking time. She's blocked me just for no reason. I love it.
Look, a lot of the people that have become known for working now at DC and Marvel, at the very least, a lot of those people are going to have one last place they can go to work at, because I don't think Robert Kirkman's going to stand for a lot of that. I think he's going to get it right back on track and work it out with DC, and DC's going to go back to doing what they were doing before. Maybe even better than before.
I have a question now. Is everyone else sick of constant Batman or Batman universe comics at this point? Like I'm done. Funko's doing the same thing like their comics. Constant Batman variants, constant Batman this, constant Batman that.
It is no worse.
Saturation of boredom.
It is no worse than what happened with Spider-Man in the 70s and into the early 80s. If you grew up at that time, Spider-Man was everywhere. It got to the point where Spider-Man probably could have taken on the Avengers and won. And eventually we went from Spider-Man to eventually Wolverine. Wolverine was everywhere. Wolverine, eventually it became Deadpool. That's how it goes at Marvel. They end up having this one character that becomes the center point of everything they do. With DC, it's just I think Batman just becomes the it title because they've concentrated so much.
It's a safe space. It's the safe space.
Yeah, it's their safe space. It's easy to write in a sense. And all of the characters, both the rogues galleries and also the characters around Batman, are so iconic.
Quite interesting.
It is just, and again, this bugs me. They should go ahead and just do an animated Batman family television series. Make it exclusive to HBO Max and just do an animated Batman family series. Instead of what they were doing with J.J. Abrams, which sucks. Oh, I'm sorry. I say that out loud.
But at the same time, we have 2 Black Superman on the horizon. CW needs to stop touching fucking goddamn any type of superhero property. Yeah. Grant Gustin needs to get the fuck out and get his own fucking Flash movie. And
well, he's definitely going to make an appearance, and that's what I heard. Grant Gustin will be in the Flash movie with Ezra Miller. They're going to return the favor. But
is he going to choke Ezra Miller out and take the mantle? Please tell me.
Probably not. That's probably not going to happen. It's going to be more about a pregnant woman. Look, I just want to see people who are actually excited about DC as a property working at Warner Brothers again, and not people who just are very ignorant.
Bruce Lombardo quickly says of Dick's Division, we will finally have an Amy. I can't even read that without throwing up in my mouth. Amy Schumer Batman. I'm going to be doing every day. Bro, we'll be doing shot for shot every time she talks about her vagina.
Well, if that's going to happen, it needs to happen before David Zaslav gets there, because David Zaslav, if it don't fit in with what he's wanting to do about making money, and when I say making money, he's into making money. He's seen their financials. He knows where they've screwed up. So,
Release the Kraken said something pretty interesting. Not sure if you saw this, but J.K. Simmons is about to sign on to Batgirl, which makes her part of the Snyderverse.
Maybe. Remember, that deal is with the people that are currently running things right now. Okay? No one who will be responsible for fixing all of this is in place right now because the merger has not gone through. So whatever deals are signed as of right now, before David Zaslav takes over, once he takes over, he'll have the rights to basically make changes. So whatever they do right now, I'm fine with, because it's only going to get reversed, undone, or somehow David Zaslav will make it work with what he wants to do. But Zaslav is adamant that the Snyderverse will be back.
It should be back, but less slow motion, because I can't. I feel sorry for people on mushrooms or peyote or mescaline, and it's slow, and those slow mo scenes come in. They can't tell if they're tripping or if it's the movie. It must throw them the fuck off. Holy mashed potato, Batman. Hello, and the Kraken says hail to Zax.
Hail, Qui-Gon. You're right, except that when they did that Justice League, what was that final Justice League movie where they basically
Justice League Dark? No, I think.
Well, it was Justice League Dark Apocalypse. The Justice when they destroyed everything.
But the shit was coming up from the water. I think it was Apocalypse. Yeah.
What that was the end of all of the DC animated films up to that point. They ended all of it. So when they had the new Superman animated thing, and anything that's come up after that is part of a new version of the animated universe, okay? Of which they are adding in all of the stuff that they're adding a lot of the Berlanti stuff. A lot of what Berlanti has written that's the reason why that the Justice Society movie includes some of the Berlanti stuff in there. So they went ahead and made Iris black for the first time in any of the Flash animated films. So Justice Society, that movie, that's what part of it's about. Making that change.
Honestly,
I love the Skeletor. That's the best part of this photo.
Oh, well, this one? They doing this one here?
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, what's going on? Yeah. I have fun doing this, and this is like.
Anyway, Qui-Gon, I would love to see the people that were working on all of the Batman stuff that they've been releasing and all the voice actors. I'd love to see that as a regular series. I kept saying that for each one that they put out. Okay.
But we got fandom coming up too. And what do you think? That's where we're going to see some announcements. So
you know what?
Yeah.
You're definitely going to see announcements, but that's all pre-David Zaslav.
Oh, fuck that shit. I'm out.
Okay.
I don't think
Until the merger is official, any announcements made about it, even if it is good news, is all pre-David Zaslav. He is not in control of anything yet.
I don't think they'll have Idris Elba as Dick Grayson because he's currently playing Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually released his skin. His skin's coming to Fortnite, and I know the skull on the helmet looks kind of weird, but I like it because Fortnite. I know I preach this a lot. I'm like, hey, Fortnite, child's game. It is the only place where you have Star Wars, Marvel, DC, all in the same universe on the same island. And guess what? This is even like Terminator, Predator, everything. They keep the originality of the skins. They keep the originality of the original content. They give us the variants of the old costumes, the new costumes, the foils. And that's one place where I can go and play as Wolverine and still have a good time. It sounds cheesy, but if you haven't read the 0 Point Crisis, the 6-issue Fortnite comic with Epic, read it. It is great. And they do it so well because on the island, the clones can't talk. They don't have talk. But you see Selena Kyle and Batman showing their love again better than Tom King could ever do. They show Snake Eyes going head-to-head with Batman. You want something that for 6 issues gives you a little bit of like, why the fuck am I not seeing more of this? 0 Point Crisis, give it a shot.
Also, check out...
Yes, Will, it's a child's game. I fucking stop.
Two more things before I'm out. One, if you really want to affect change with everything that you've seen right now with Masters of the Universe Revelations, here's what you can do, okay? And this was something that they talked about yesterday. If you really want to affect change, anyone that has Netflix, basically just don't watch the final 5 episodes. And when it comes time to buying merchandise, don't buy any merchandise connected to this version of what they're doing, because this is what Netflix also gets a cut of. You can affect all of that by not buying any of that merchandise. In fact, if you want He-Man related merchandise, buy any merchandise related to the 2002 He-Man or earlier versions of the character. All versions outside of the Netflix versions. Make sure you buy all of that stuff on purpose, and that will affect that.
And if it is too expensive, for example, to buy something from the 2002 series or something, right now Mattel is releasing the Origin series that is not related to Netflix in any way, shape, or form, because it's just the vintage toys, but with different modern articulations.
Buy those.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Super 7. Super 7 is also doing some wicked stuff.
Yeah.
Reaction Figures, that I think is still owned by Funko, is also releasing the old 80s gen Transformers if you want to get something pretty cool and like by itself. They're and honestly, like, I'll preach this again, War for Cybertron is fucking fantastic. If you want an anime that'll throw you off, done by the same director as fucking Cowboy Bebop, look for Space Dandy and give that a shot. Honestly, I love that series.
The other thing is, go out and find every copy of DC Comics', not just their He-Man stuff. Definitely buy that. Buy Future Quest and tell DC Comics that you want to see more of that. Okay? Because I'm telling you, Future Quest was one of the most original things they put out there.
Yeah.
Future Quest was amazing, and they should do more of that. That's what fans really want to see if you want classic animation and you want to see something that you've never seen before. And contact David Zaslav and ask him to do an animated version of that. That's what we need, is an animated version of Future Quest, possibly even some new Space Coast related stuff.
Yeah.
But Future Quest.
All right. And before you go, Keith, I want to give a heads up to this. You can find Keith and us and a couple other people in the chat later on every Monday. And we do cover Babylon 5. And we're getting closer and closer to the Shadow War. So if you want to hear Keith and the rest of us talk, I know. Dega Outlaw joins us. Fucking the Memes of Destruction joins us. I want to see more people there on a Monday to not only hear him and see his collection and Dega's collection, but just hear us talk about the episodes.
The Dega should just give me his collection.
Oh, fuck off. Why don't you scissor already? Just pull the whole Masters of the Universe, all right? But there's another show, and I know you're hearing Gary talking how good it is and Az talking about, but you want something, Straczynski. This is the same guy, Straczynski, Babylon 5, the same guy who's worked on the other properties we've been talking about tonight. Babylon 5 will give you that.
Yeah, if you want to see where shows like The Expanse got a lot of ideas from, Babylon 5 is that show that will not disappoint you. It is a complex show, but if you give yourself over to it and watch it, and you can right now after you're done listening to Fat Steven and everyone else, go check out if you have HBO Max and start with Babylon 5. Trust me when I tell you, you will have a good time with that. Fall down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
you guys got me watching that for the first time now, and I'm loving it. And I never would have watched it before. I was turned off by the bad CGI, honestly. But man, it's worth it. It's worth it. The story is
incredible
so good.
story, isn't it?
Yeah,
but the layers, though, Zach. It's the layers. It's the goddamn fucking layers, because you're getting that. You're getting. It's like when you're watching Lord of the Rings or reading Lord of the Rings, and it's getting the build up to the Mordor and the whole battles that are going to happen. It's doing the same thing. And Keith, you actually worked on Babylon 5, right? And you were also in one of the episodes.
Oh,
right?
I wish. No. I was lucky enough in the late 90s, early 2000s to have a convention where I got a chance to meet many of the stars of the show, including Michael O'Hare and others. So I've been lucky enough to not only meet some of them, but become friends with some of them. And they're great people. They are a fun cast. And just fall down that rabbit hole. Just do yourself a favor.
Keith makes a good point, and I'm going to say that right now. This is one of the shows where not only were they friends on set, they were friends off the set. Even two of the cast members got fucking married.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat.
Honestly,
it's a great cast. They have so much fun, and you have a lot of fun watching the show, but also going. You know how with Star Wars and Star Trek, how you'll have books and stuff, and you more often than not, the books have almost nothing to do with any of the major stuff that you see films with. Babylon 5 is different because the books were made to go along with the show.
Same with the comics.
The initial books were expanded versions of episodes that you've seen and had a lot more information that had to be cut out due to time, but have a lot more information that also gave you clues as to what is going to happen in the story. And in one of the books, they introduce a character that would become a character that you would eventually see on the show. You get introduced to that character, I think, almost a year before you saw them on the show.
I don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I know.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell them who it is, but the storylines, and then even after the show ends, the books that they did that cover, some of them start before the show, some of them start during the show, some of them start after the show, that give you even more story and fill out even more things. You get to see what ultimately happened to some of the characters in Babylon 5, and oh my goodness, it is just it's a feast. It is a feast. And you're right. The comic books also are made to be a part of the show. So
the character moments, the little character moments where they're together, and it's not about the story, but they're messing with each other or something. Those are some of my favorite parts of the show. It seems so real and relatable.
I'm telling you, I have not met one single person that's been onto this show that does not like the character of Garibaldi.
Oh yeah.
You mean Bruce Willis Light? It's Bruce Willis Light, right? I'm going to keep saying that because
do yourself a favor, get into that show, and if you can, buy some of that merchandise. Contact Warner Brothers and let them know you are enjoying this. They can also tell when you watch it on online. They can tell you're watching, but they need to hear it from you, because I think Babylon 5 could be brought back very easily And many of the actors and actresses probably would be amenable to coming back and doing something. But unfortunately, HBO Max does not have the rights to any of the post-Babylon 5 movies that they made. There's like 4 or 5 of them. And they don't have those right now. So you need to contact Warner Brothers to see if they can put them on HBO Max so you can see everything else.
And come by Mondays. Every Monday, come on, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and you can hear us talk about it. You can hear all this shit. You can see some of the paraphernalia. Wait, paraphernalia is the wrong word.
Buy the T-shirts, buy the books. There are still a lot of stuff out there, but beware, because a lot of websites will give you. It's been quite a few years since the show's been on the air, so a lot of people are not that worried about spoilers. So be very, very careful. If you can, try not to spoil anything for yourself as far as story goes. You will not regret it if you just watch the show.
And honestly, I think we should wrap up here. I think we've had enough with Kevin Smith. We're getting close to the question. Unless you guys in the panel want to talk more, in the chat want to hear more. We've gone almost 2 to 3 hours, and then we just totally turned into the circle jerk like Newman and Kevin Smith. So it was fantastic.
With much substance.
But are you guys cool with closing out here?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, chat. We're gonna close out here, and I want to thank everyone who has dropped by today. Whether you're a new sub, you're a new member, you've participated in the chat, you've given your opinion. Honestly, this is my fucking favorite part of doing live streams. Is not only having people to converse with, but to have the chat converses as well. And I will never take that for granted because the chat is just as much as the show as it is the panel coming up with the topic. And I thank you most of all. I also thank the panel. I thank Purple. I thank Gary, who was here yesterday. I thank everyone because we got to get the stuff that people don't talk about as much anymore, or even doing constructive criticism on the way things are going out there more. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the panel. I want to thank Zach for coming on the first time ever and just giving that chance to me to just share the moment. And I hope you've had somewhat of a good time.
This has been awesome. I've loved it. Thank you.
You will be coming on more in the future, even if I have to drag you. I'm
in.
You mean?
Hello.
Did he just? You mean what? What was the rest of the sentence?
Oh, I said I'm in. That's all.
Oh, I thought you said. Oh, okay. Well, you're definitely in. And everyone, we're going to close out here. I'm tired of looking at Kevin Smith's face. I think we've done enough constructive criticism. I really think we fucking have. And Bruce, dude, whenever you have the chance, you're welcome to come on and give your point of view too. Someone keeps getting sex messages from someone I keep hearing on their mic. And with that, I'm going to get rid of this overlay because we have definitely had and got this buttered. And thank you. We'll see you Monday if you want to show up, and every day in between.
Or you could just check out Fat Steven's channel if you haven't already become a subscriber. Check out Fat Steven in his comments because he's just that awesome. I mean, he's a fun guy. He's great at parties. He'll come to yours if you just ask him to and pay him enough money.
You just told him he's not going to come. I want to thank everyone. Because, like, honestly, the reason why I came here, and I'm not trying to preach my own horn, is because I wanted to get to meet different people. I wanted the ability to understand what pop culture is to people, how we like and dislike, but still can be friends. And I wanted to have fun. And I hope you guys had just as much fun, because if you're not having fun, why the fuck are you fucking doing it? And with that, we're out.
I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm flying a light. No, I can't slip until I feel your touch. I said, ooh.
And thank you everyone for coming tonight, coming yesterday, and coming in the future. I said coming way too much, but you know what? Thank you. Because the chat makes the show. Thank you. Have some fun tonight. Spoil yourself. And remember, your opinion is yours. No one can take that from you. Have a fucking good night.